All right, well, we are back. We are back with the Wave Report, episode 5, man. I wanted to start out by saying happy holidays to everybody, whatever it is you celebrate. Merry Christmas for most of you, I'm sure. I haven't done any content like in a couple days, just working and then spending some time with my family, of course. And I just hope everybody is, celebrating something or is happy around this time. I know the last couple of years have been really, really rough with most of us. All right. But I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is healthy. And I hope that everyone goes into the new year having a good year. You know, I know a lot of people like to refresh and reboot and restart when the year starts. And with me, I like to get things in motion before the new year so I can start the new year fresh. So as you can see, I recently moved. I changed my location. I'm trying to start off the channel on upgrading the channel. I've recently been upgrading the channel. I've upgraded my equipment, and I just wanted to go into the new year fresh. I removed a lot of people out of my life. Not a lot, but I'm just trying to change everything and make everything better. Want to make this year a good year. And I think it will be a good year. I'm excited for 2023, especially with this channel, because I have a lot of things that I have planned. And I know you guys have seen some changes, definitely with the quality of the content, but I still have a lot more changes that I have planned, and I've been had changes and stuff planned for this channel, but I just never really put it in motion, because I never really had that much amount of time to commit into the channel like other channels do. But even though I was still consistent in still putting out content, um, I just really couldn't really get things launch things off like the way that I wanted to. And it will definitely come this year. But all these last 2 or 3 months is all about the setup and just working on pushing to have a good year. I think this year is going to be really, really dope with the channel. I'm really excited on what I have planned. All right, but I'm not going to talk too much about it because I want to just do it. I don't want to keep talking about what I do. I've talked about so many different ideas that I've had for the channel and never really put it through. But this year I want to really set it up and then just holler at you guys when it's really going down. That's the plan for the new year. But yeah, again, shout out to everyone that's into it. What's up, Purple? What's good with you? Thank you. And what's up, Simone? Good morning. I am doing great. I feel good. I feel really, really good. For everyone that's joining us, again, happy holidays. Happy holidays to everyone. I was with the family last night, spending Christmas with, my mom, my grandmother, my aunts, I was spending family time with yesterday and I had a good time. And I still have more family to see. I still got to see my dad. Him, what's up with you, man? What's good with you? I still got to see my dad. I got to see my nieces. I still got to see other family members and stuff like that. So I got to bounce around a little bit. But, I love this time of the year because it's a good reason to get my family together. But to be honest, I'm a very family oriented guy. So I see my family all the time. I don't go too many weeks without seeing family. All I do is see family on a regular basis, not just on the holidays. So the holidays is cool because, we get to exchange gifts and, have, eat good and, just like Thanksgiving, the same thing. We do Thanksgiving year round. Thanksgiving is cool because we really go in when it comes to the food. We really got a lot of food on Thanksgiving, but to be honest, me and my family, we eat together, we go out together, we drink together, we enjoy each other's company throughout the entire year. We don't wait until just the holidays, you know. Um Simone asked, what do I think about Rashidi Ellis and versus Villa Romaine? I'm not familiar with his opponent, so I'll get back to you on that as soon as I figure it out. I haven't really got a chance to look at the opponents on the undercard of that Tank card, to be honest. All right, so I haven't checked out him. I haven't checked out Karen, who Boots is fighting. I am a little familiar with Andre's opponent, but I haven't done like no real like film study on any of those guys yet, to be honest, you know? So I'll get back to you as soon as I find out, but I'm not really sure. All right. Speaking on that, there's some fights coming up and there's some fights that's canceled. One I'm going to talk about later in this video. All right. Actually, yeah, one of them I'm going to speak on. And that's going to be Jermell Charlo. We had 2 fights canceled already for the month of January. All right. That's Oscar Rivas against F.A. Ajagba. And that's now Jermell Charlo against Tszyu, a fight that was scheduled like sometime last year, like 6 months ago. Okay. I think they told us like over the summer that Jermell Charlo and Tszyu was going to fight next year, which was supposed to happen. And now Jermell has pulled out because he suffered a broken hand, a broken left hand. So we'll get back to that later on in this video. We'll talk a little bit about that. All right. And after I go through everything, I will put the link up if anybody want to join. This is going to be a really chill day. You know, I just want to just chill and just chat and talk boxing with you guys. I have a few topics here, but you know, I'm willing and open to let you guys join up, you know, a little bit later in this video here. All right, and we can chop it up and talk about boxing. But just real quick, I just want to brush through a few things that's going on, just a few topics today, not a lot of topics. What's up, Dre? What's up with you? What's up, Dan? Happy holidays to you. Dan says, my family holidays is like a Tank and Ryan press conference. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I know a lot of people that's like that. I feel what you're saying with that. You know, I mean, certain sides, certain parts of the family could be like that too, depending on who I'm with that day or how they feeling that day. But I got you. I've been there. Trust me. All right. Dre says Boosts have superstar talent, but do you think they can develop it on Showtime? They barely get any ratings. Yeah, right now it's not really that good. You know, I made a video, my most recent video. I was pretty much discussing that about Showtime and PBC in general. It's not a lot of motion over there, and the quality of the fights hasn't been that great this year. They didn't have a great year. You know, we got some pay-per-views that you can't really justify why they were a pay-per-view. And especially when they're, you know, charging like high prices for them, you know, like Keith Thurman against Mario Barrios. You can't really justify that pay-per-view, and you can't really justify the price. You know, I think if you're not going to give us a top quality fight, you shouldn't be charging $90. You know, you should be kind of charging like maybe $40. You know what I'm saying? So I made a whole video on that recently, a couple of days ago. Also, the breakdown for Tank and Hector Garcia is done. It's out if you haven't seen it already. Also, the breakdown for not Inoue, who's fighting. Yoka and Jesus Christ, who's Yoka fighting? Franco. That's out too. All right. That fight is gonna be on the 31st again. I don't know if I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna try to go live, but you know, it's one of those Japanese early morning fights. It's gonna be on their New Year's Eve. It's gonna be the 31st for us, but it's gonna be like at 5, 6 in the morning. All right. So I'm gonna try to jump on live with you guys, but not sure. You know how that goes. It really depends on what time the fight starts. You know, so we'll see. All right, but shout out to everyone that's coming in. What's up, D-Flex? No, what's good? Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mel. I got you on Mel. I think that just give me a minute, you know, give us a few minutes, you know, maybe about 20 minutes. I'm gonna open up the you know, the link. I'll drop the link and let you guys join. You know, if anybody wants to join and speak their piece, later on in the live. That would be appreciated. All right. All right. So let's start off with well, just to let you know, Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor is officially signed for March in Scotland. All right, that rematch. And that's going to be for one of the titles. I forgot what title Josh holds because he was undisputed, but he vacated pretty much the other 3 titles. So Taylor and Catterall is officially signed for March. And to be honest, I can't wait because it feels like it's taking so long to get there. You know, excuse me. It was announced a while ago, and it seems like I thought he was going to get in January, but now it's official for March. I just want to hurry up and get that fight and get it over with, you know. But I'm glad it's done. It's going to be in Scotland, and I can't wait to get it done and see it because I want to see, you know, if I think Catterall won the first fight, but I want to also see if, you know, if Josh does win and he does win in impressive fashion. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. There's plenty of fights for him still at 140. You know, there's a mess going on at 147. So I don't know if he's even in a rush to do it, but he's probably getting too big for 140. So, you know, 147 is tough, man. I know he was undisputed, and I know he's undefeated at 147, but I mean 140, but 147 is a different beast, and you got a lot of fighters to deal with. You got Boots Ortiz, you know, you got a million guys up there. You know, Rashidi Ellis. You got a lot of tough fighters, and that's not even including Spence and Bud. You got a lot of fighters you got to deal with at 147 if you're going to go up. So I don't know what Josh's going to do. I don't know how hard it is for him to make weight at 140, but I'm glad that they're at least having a fight. All right, and that's all I really want to say. Kay says, I really want to see Taylor against Prograis too. I do too. It was a close fight. It was a really good fight. And if Prograis is going to be doing his thing, like, you know, he still has options. You know, I know Prograis is going to try to, I don't know if he is, but depending on how Broner does against Red Catch, I can see Prograis fighting Broner. You know, if Broner is serious about like fighting him, I can see that fight happening. You know, so Prograis, he is the champion. It could be Teofimo Lopez. It could be Adrian Broner. Maybe if Taylor doesn't move up, maybe we can get a Prograis rematch. That'll be good. You know, but we just got to wait and see, you know. All right, so let's move on. Shields and Marshall is officially off, according to I made a video. I think the Wave Report number 3. I think I broke, you know, not broke the news, but I mean I discussed the news of Taylor and Marshall fighting in a rematch. Marshall came out and said that she is going to be executing her rematch clause that she had against Clarissa Shields, even though she lost, and that she will come back and fight her. And she was looking to have it in a big stadium or a big park out in the UK. Shields responded by saying, like, look, I'm all good. I'm all for a go with the rematch. And I accept the challenge, but it's not going to be in the UK. It's going to be in America. And then, you know, the comments started rolling on whether the fight should be in the UK or not. Now I get from Shields in. Shields is like, yo, I'm the champion. I fought in your backyard. I beat you. You know, I want to have it in America now. And I get when it comes to the Marshall, they're going to make more money because they're probably going to sell way more tickets out in the UK just because UK fans they support on a different level than they do here in America. You know what I'm saying? Shields, who is probably the most decorated or one of the 2 most decorated fighters of all time, female fighters of all time. You know, with all of that being said, you know, I don't know if she can sell out a venue like the way Marshall could at this point, you know, or at least in their fight together. I don't know if they would make the same amount of money here in the US as they would in the UK. It's just me being real. You know, I mean, I would love them to, you know, and I would love either if they have a pay-per-view here in the US. I've paid pay-per-views for Shields before. I don't have a problem with supporting Shields my way, but I don't know if everybody else feels that way. You know, Marshall, people are going to show out, right? They're going to come out to her fights, especially that fight. You know, even though she clearly lost the first fight, people will still go and see the fight. It is what it is. You know, so I feel Shields, because if this fight is any bit closer, like let's just say that Marshall makes a few adjustments and the fight is closer than it was the first time. You know, if it's a close fight, I can see them giving it to Marshall, you know what I'm saying? And them going into a third fight. So I'm just not sure where, like, how that's going to work out. You know, Shields probably really is going to, she's not going to want to have it out there because she already won the fight. I mean, you got to remember, this is the one fight. First of all, it's a fact that it was her toughest fight. Even with the win, it was her toughest fight. It was her toughest fight. I mean, she said it herself. It was still her toughest fight. Even with the win, it was her toughest fight. Marshall is clearly the best out there to me. I think she has a better, I'm even talking about the future. Let's say Clarissa Shields go up to fight what's her name? Jesus. I just have I had a Franchon Cruz. Let's say they have their rematch, right? Because they both fought each other on their debut. If they go up, she goes up to fight Franchon Cruz. Cool. It's a good fight. You know, Franchon Cruz is undisputed at super middle. That'll be a good fight because Clarissa hasn't been undisputed at 168. Do I think it's a tougher fight than Savannah Marshall right now? I don't. Doesn't mean it won't be, but I just don't. I personally don't feel like. I think you got to remember, a lot of people thought that Savannah Marshall was going to knock out Clarissa Shields. Let's not forget that. We can't forget that. All right. So I'm all for the fight. I think there should be a rematch at some point. But, you know, according to, I believe, the promoter of Savannah Marshall, Ben Shalom, he's pulled out. He's the one that cut the cord on that and said, no, I want Savannah to have at least a couple more fights before going into a rematch with Clarissa Shields. All right. Which is fair. You know, I mean, as a promoter, I can see where he's coming from because he doesn't want to make the risk of her losing even worse than she did and it mentally, you know, damaging her. He probably wants to put her in a couple more fights, make a little bit more money, maybe sharpen up her skills a little bit, make her build a little bit more confidence back, and then go into a rematch with Clarissa. I think at some point, and they're both younger enough, at some point they're going to have a rematch, regardless of what happens in their careers. You know, they're both roughly around the same size. They're going to have a rematch at some point. Now, as far as where it should go, if they want to make more money, it's going to be out in the UK. The money is out there. It's bigger than here. No matter where they put it in the US, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's going to make more money out there. People are going to show up out there. People are going to pay their money out there. You know, but Clarissa is looking at it like, I don't want to have it out in the UK. I want to have it in my home. And unfortunately, even she had it out in Michigan somewhere, like maybe in Detroit, maybe not in Flint, but maybe in like Detroit, in an arena out there. Are people going to really put that same kind of money into your fight back home than they would out in London? You know, I don't believe so. You know, I don't think so. All right. It's unfortunate. And I see where she's going with it, but I don't know. As far as the money part about it, the money might not be the same, you know. And I don't think either one of them is really willing to really take a pay cut based on location, you know. Simone says the UK is the best for boxing now, best place for boxing in general. I'm not going to argue with you when it comes to people showing up, you know, but you got to remember overall, probably, yeah, because you guys support better. But we can't forget that we do still have a lot of big fights here. You know, Katie Taylor had a fight with Amanda Serrano here in New York at the Garden. There's still many big fights in Vegas. There's big fights in Texas. There are still big fights here in the U.S. as well. But I will say that UK fans are a little bit more consistent as far as getting, selling out arenas and stuff like that out there. Punch Quote says, drop the ego and go where people are willing to pay for women's boxing. And yeah. And even that, I did mention Katie, but a lot of Katie's fans flew out. It reminded me of when Joshua came and fought at the Garden as well. A lot of his fans did fly out, even going back to like when Ricky Hatton fought Floyd here, a lot of his fans flew out. You can definitely tell. I wasn't there, but you could see it on TV. You could hear it in the crowd. They were out there. I scored a fight 7-3 for Shields. I've seen some 6-4s too. That's fair. I've seen as low as 8-2, but I scored it 7 rounds to 3. I think I remember, if I can remember. I think there was some swing rounds in there for sure. Especially after like the first 4 or so rounds. All right. Kano Loco, what's up, bro? How you doing? What's good with you? Kano Loco says she earned the right to fight at home. She earned the right to fight at home before the first fight. I don't think that was the point. I mean, she's promoted. She's on Sky Sports Network, which is based out of the UK. So I don't think it's ever been about earning the right to fight at home. She earned it based on what she's accomplished in her career, which is way more to Savannah Marshall. So I don't think it was ever about that. It's about promoting the fight well, getting people to pay to see you fight, pay-per-views, buying tickets to go to the event. Are people here going to do that in the United States? I don't think so. Not in that magnitude. Let's be real. I mean, I'm American and I care about American boxing more because I'm American, period. So I'm going to have my bias, but I have to be realistic at the end of the day. Like, we're not showing up to fights like the way they are on over there on a consistent basis. It's just, it is what it is, TJ say NYC is full of Irish. A lot of them didn't even travel. They live in the Bronx and Queens. And that may be true. You might be right. That you might absolutely be right on that. You can't really tell. It's like the Polish too. A lot of them live in Brooklyn. So a lot of them will go to a Karnowski fight or any other fighters that's out in here. So you're absolutely right. People show up depending on the background of the fighter. So you're absolutely right, Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying when I went to the Joshua fight, for example, I saw a lot of the British flags out there when I was there. I heard a lot of the accents of the people that was talking, waiting online, even before going into the arena when I had a few drinks outside of the Garden and I went to the bar that was at one of the bars out there. There were a lot of, British accents out there when I was just chilling. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to the Katie Taylor fight, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I still feel that in the UK overall, a lot of people will show up more so than the Americans would for Clarissa Shields. I don't think it should be that way. I wish more people supported Clarissa Shields. In fact, I wish Clarissa Shields was more famous here in America, with what she's accomplished, being an Olympic gold medalist and being a 2-time or 3-time undisputed champion, I think, at this point. I think I wish she was more famous, I wish I did see her at, events and she had more of a celebrity here, but if people are willing to pay, just like Punch Cole said, if people are willing to pay more for women's boxing over there, then go where you're going to be supported, get rid of the ego, and do what you have to do in order to get to where you're trying to go. And one of her arguments at one point is she wanted more money. She feel that female athletes should get paid more and go where the money is at. If the money is not here like that, why are you going to stay here just because I want to be in my background? I know you want to be in your background. That's cool. But also just understand that you might get paid less or you might make less if you are having a fight here, So she has to they have to come to whatever conclusion that, when that fight happens, it's not happening now. But when they revisit trying to make that fight, they have to have that conversation like, yo, where are we going to have this fight at? And what makes the most sense financially? You just got to wait and see. I think if Shields were to have it in Detroit or Michigan, somewhere where people like, that support her, people that's from where she's from, maybe they'll come out and support. I said this in the last video I did with her and Marshall about having this rematch. Maybe you should have it in Michigan somewhere. Maybe if not Flint, because I don't know I know she's fought in Flint, but I don't know what arena is the biggest in Detroit. I mean, outside of maybe the Alliance Arena. But if you're gonna have it in Michigan, I don't know what arena she would have it in, but have it where, and promote it, right? And let people come out and support. I mean, that'll be the fight to do it, or do it now. If you're not gonna fight Savannah Marshall, build up, have fights often there at home. Have a place where people are familiar with you. Like Danny Garcia, he's from Philly, but he's had so many fights here in New York in the Barclays. Since the Barclays began, he's been having fights out here. He fought Zab out here. Okay, so Wilder, same with him. How many times has he fought in the Barclays? Keep having fights in the same venue so people are familiar with you. Terrence Crawford, Omaha, Nebraska, that's where he's from. That's where he's having his fights at. Cool. Everybody's going to show up. We saw that. All right. I'm sure Spence had fights there too. He's had fights in Texas. Find a place where you feel at home and you feel like every time you fight, people are going to support. So I think with Claressa Shields moving forward, she's well accomplished now. She's fought she's already won titles in different divisions, but she's fought the woman that people feel that would beat her. She won in impressive fashion too. With that being said, have fights in Michigan where you're from. So if you're not going to fight Savannah Marshall for another 2 or 3 fights, have some fights in Michigan. Have your next 2 or 3 fights there. So people can get used to supporting you, It's all about promotion. It's all about the venue, like Conor Loco said. It's about a lot of things. But if you're having one fight here, and you're having another fight here, and you're having this fight here, and a lot of people are not really coming out like that, something needs to change. Build your brand. Like, you are arguably the most accomplished female of all time. Whether you want to let it go to her or Katie Taylor, it's either one of those two. All right. I'm not going to sit here and make a video arguing about who's number one. I don't got time for that. All right. They're both great. They're both very accomplished. I personally think Claressa Shields is more talented. All right. But they're not going to fight. They're not going to fight. They're two completely different sizes. With that being said, and I think by the time it's all said and done, I think Claressa will probably accomplish much more because she's much younger. She's only 27 years old. I think Katie is already in her mid-30s. Claressa is going to keep doing, especially if she goes up to another division and be Franchon Cruz and become undisputed up there. But listen, I get it why people don't like Claressa. All right. She's very outspoken. She says a lot of things, and she said a lot of things that I don't even agree with. But that doesn't matter. As long as she goes in the ring, and I've been consistent with this since I've had this channel. I don't care how much trash people talk. As long as you back it up in the ring, I really don't care. I really don't care. You don't have to be Mrs. or Mr. Friendly. You don't have to get along. You don't have to be cool with everybody. You don't have to be that. As long as that whatever you're saying, you can prove what you're doing. That's what happened with Chris Colbert the other day. Or I mean, in his last fight earlier this year. Chris Colbert did so much trash talking about other PBC fighters like Spence and Wilder and all of these guys. He's done so much trash talking that PBC fans hated him, despised him. And what did he do? He went into the Hector Garcia fight and he got dominated. So when you talk like that and you lose, and not only just losing, it's not about just losing, it's the way that he lost. It's like you kind of ran the last 2 or 3 rounds. You didn't even show like that heart of wanting to try to pull off a win at the end. You kind of just, and he said it himself. He's like, I just didn't want to get knocked out. So it is what it is. I see you guys, I think you guys are going back and forth here. Way too many comments to go back and see what you guys are arguing about. But yeah, I think Clarissa Shields, that should be the plan. If if I was working closely with her, I would push to start having fights in Michigan, because it's cool to have fights in Vegas and Madison Square Garden and these big arenas, famous arenas. But you want to have a stable first. You want to build a very consistent and loyal group of fans in your hometown, to where you can have events and sell out events in your hometown first. And then those fans will travel with you, but I'm sure she's known out there. It's just, you want those fans to know you like the way they know Bud in Omaha. You know what I'm saying? They've been having fights out there. It's cool to have fights in New York. It's cool to have fights in Vegas, but if you could sell out an arena in your hometown, there's nothing better than that. And maybe you never know. Maybe if she were to do this in the next couple fights or so, and then have the Marshall fights in the U.S., if they can show like they can really, really make bread here in the U.S. and fill out a large amount of people to come see her as the main event, because at this point, she should be the main event. If they're able to do that, then that'll be great. Having some of these other up-and-coming fighters should be on her undercard, at this point, because she has been undisputed multiple times. You know what I'm saying? What's up, SJ Fish? What's good with you? Good morning. So with that being said, let's move to the next topic of the day. And that is going to be where am I at? All right, so you know what? Let's talk about Jermell Charlo now. Let's talk about Jermell Charlo. And if you guys, want to join up later and backtrack, and we can talk about this. Jermell Charlo injures his left hand in training. The fight is coming up this month in January. This is where he's going to defend his undisputed titles for the first time, right? All 4 titles at 154. He beats Brian Castano in his last fight, knocks him out. And then now we're supposed to get the fight next month. And he breaks his left hand, while training. He breaks his hand in 2 different places. It said his pinky and his ring finger is broken. There's a picture of him in the doctor's office, with the cast on his hand, and he's gonna be out. And they are just gonna postpone the fight. And I guess Tszyu is gonna be fighting. I don't know who Tszyu is gonna fight. I guess it's gonna be somebody else in line, but Tszyu is not gonna wait around. All right, he's not gonna wait around, and I don't know who's next on the rankings for that title. All right, but he's gonna be next to fight. He's gonna be up to fight somebody. Yeah, and I don't know who that somebody is going to be, But I'm assuming it's not going to be somebody that's going to be too risky to a point where he can lose his title opportunity. So it's going to be somebody good, but it's not going to be someone that's extremely risky. With all that being said, Tszyu hasn't fought since March. All right. And Charlo hasn't fought since Charlo hasn't fought since May. All right. So he fought a little bit after Tim. Charlo is getting a lot of backlash right now because a lot of people feel that he's not really injured. And we know why. The reason why people don't feel that he's really injured has nothing to do with him. It's all because of the PBC. And people feel that they either don't have the money for the fight. You know, this is what people were saying. They don't have the money. They can't let the fight go down right now. So they needed Charlo to have an excuse for backing out of the fight because they want to move on. You know, they want to make the fight at a different time. All of this stuff like that. Part of the reason why they're not even giving him full press conference. They're doing press conferences on Zoom. You know, they're not doing a real official press conference for the fight, even though it's an undisputed fight. And even though it's for one of their best fighters, Jermell Charlo. This is all of the things that I'm hearing, and this is what I'm reading on social media. So he's getting a lot of backlash because they feel that he's faking. I don't even think that I'm seeing that he's faking because he's trying to avoid Tszyu. I'm seeing that he's faking because they just don't think that they want to have the fight right now, or maybe there's no money for the fight right now to cover the cost, the purses for the fight. This is what they're saying right now. Now, I know I just made another video on talking about the PBC. I mean, my very last video, I'm talking about the PBC, Showtime, Al Heyman, Adrian Broner, all that stuff. All right. And again, I already know it hasn't looked for PBC, look good for them. No, there's been rumors about they're broke, about there's not going to be any fights on Showtime any longer. You know, that they got taken over by Paramount and all of these other things. All right, that we've heard from fighters like Adrian Broner and others about there being no money. I believe and I agree that there are finance issues over there for sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point, you know, just based on the quality of the fights that we're getting, the lack of fights that we've been getting from them, the fact that they're making every single fight damn near a pay-per-view. I get it. All right. I understand that. But breaking a hand in two different places, that seems a little bit extreme to lie about. And you know me, the way I do this channel, I have my beliefs about things. Before I jump to conclusions about who's cheating or who's faking an injury, you know, I've told you in the past, certain fighters, I believe that maybe they faked the injury, you know. The details sound a little off, or there was an undisclosed injury, right? We didn't get any details, but it seemed like, for example, I'm going to give you an example. Demetrius Andrade, right? What happened with Demetrius Andrade? Well, he pulled out of who was the guy that Demetrius Andrade was supposed to fight? Parker. Forgot his first name. What's his name? Parker. He was supposed to fight Parker last year. He pulls out of the fight with Parker, right? He's supposed to fight him, pulls out, comes back, calling out other people but Parker. Zach Parker. That's what I mean. Zach Parker. He pulls out of the fight with Zach Parker, comes back and calls out Chris Eubank. Whatever happened with Zach Parker? Weren't you supposed to fight him? Situations like that makes me suspicious on an injury because it shows that you had no interest in taking this fight. I don't feel that way with Jermell Charlo. I don't feel like this at all. In fact, there's nothing about Jermell Charlo that makes me feel that he's trying to avoid Tszyu. And I'm not even saying that based on the quality of fighter Tszyu. I mean, he is a worthy opponent for a title shot at this point. But there's nothing about Jermell Charlo that has made me feel that he's trying to avoid Tszyu. Now, if this is just one whole conspiracy and plan to save the PBC money or be able to make the money in order to pay Charlo, then I don't know. If that's what you want to believe, that's cool. It seems a little far-fetched to me. Now, I know the PBC is having some issues and they're going through some changes. I don't know exactly what they're going through, but to go as far as saying that Charlo broke his hand in order because they didn't have the money to pay him, or fake broke his hand because they didn't have the money to pay him, I think that's a little too far-fetched. Call me naive. I'm fine with that. But I don't believe that Charlo faked a broken hand in two different places. I don't think he faked that. He could have, but I need a little bit more. Like Oscar Rivas just pulled out of the fight with F.A. Ajaba last week because of an eye injury. Was that fake too? They said an undisclosed eye injury. We don't know any details about the eye injury. All we know is that he has an eye injury and the fight is over. I think the whole event is over. Was that fake too? Was the Demetrius Andre injury fake last year? Like, we could go on and on forever. And that's what happens now with boxing fans, because we get so much bullshit now that we think that everything is bullshit. This guy has never seemed to avoid anybody, in my opinion. I haven't seen Jermell like really just avoid certain fighters directly. And he may not be avoiding this guy. Maybe it is some financial issues going on over there. But if that was the case, you're not going to take the blame for the PBC not being able to pay you. I would think that if Jermell had to pull out of the fight because the money ain't right, he would have pulled out of the fight and said the money ain't right. He's not going to take the blame for the fact that the PBC can't pay him the funds that he agreed on. You get what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute. This sounds a little bit too far-fetched for me. Because now people are calling him a fake and a duck over an injury because his promoter couldn't pay him the money for this fight. Nah, Jermell is way too outspoken to just keep quiet and fake an injury based on his promoter not having the money. Again, if you want to call me naive for not believing in that conspiracy, because it is a conspiracy right now, that's fine. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You know, I don't think he's faked it. All right. And if he is faking it, what's stopping me from thinking that Oscar Rivas faked his last week or anybody else that's injured? I think I need a little bit more for me to think that he faked this injury off of his promoter who don't have the money. I think he's injured. And with the schedule that he's had, Jermell Charlo had Castano twice, right? A fight that he didn't even have to take again. But he took it again. Just like he took the Tony Harrison fight again. He took it again. He didn't have to. He could have avoided the both of them, especially the second time around. All right. Who else? Jason Rosario, another fight that was a tough fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are not easy fights he's had. You got to remember, I believe even Erickson Lubin might have been a favorite to beat Charlo. He's had a tough schedule. There's nothing that's here. There's no evidence for me to believe that Charlo pulled out of his fight because he was trying to avoid Tszyu. There's nothing there for me to believe that. It's just a conspiracy at this point because the PBC is broke. If they're broke, if they didn't have the funds for this fight, they would have never scheduled it. You know, they would have never scheduled it. You know, they got Tank fight coming up next week. or a couple weeks. I don't think so. I don't. I think it's a little bit too far fetched to believe that. You know. I don't know. That's just me. Simone said Rivas Ajaba was a good fight, man. Very, very good fight. Very good fight in a good arena, low-key arena, but even had a couple good fights on the undercard. Very good fight matchup. It was one of those random matchups that we weren't expected, but we got. And it was a good fight, but Rivas pulled out from an undisclosed eye injury. SJ Fish says, Wave, if it wasn't broken, had for us to talk about, give us a better storyline. The money ain't right. It's cut and dry. They need for us to keep Charlo in the news. Think about it. I thought about it already. Like, how do you know it's not broken? Think about it. Can you give me more evidence than the PBC being broke? Can you give me more than that? Because if that's what we got for a fight that's scheduled, because they still have fights scheduled, they're still signing people on the PBC. As broke as they are, they're still signing people like Andrade. They're still signing fighters. So as broke as they are, they're still making moves. They might be slow. They might not be often. They might not even be for as much money. But why would Charlo take the hit for something that the PBC doesn't have? Why would he take the hit? Why would he be okay with the PBC telling him, yo, we don't have the money for this fight. We're broke. So we're gonna need you to fake an injury and reschedule this fight because we don't have the money for the fight right now. Oh, wait, hold on. You need me to fake the injury because you guys don't have the money? Nah, I don't think it's going down like that. I don't believe it. And not only that, but unless Charlo comes out, because Charlo gets, how emotional he is, right? Sometimes he'll go on social media and starts going on a random rant. Him and his brother is like that, especially Jermell, especially when Jermell have a few drinks. Those two, let's be real. If something was funny with the money, Jermell would have went on Instagram Live and said it already. Or he might be saying it by the end of the week. We'll see. I feel that if there's some funny money issues going on with the PBC in that fight in particular, Jermell will say something at some point. He will. But for right now, based on what we got right now, as in today, we don't got shit. We don't got no proof that he's faking an injury. His timeline, his resume doesn't state that he's willing to duck guys on this level because he's been fighting guys on this level and better for years now. There's nothing about this that makes me feel that Charlo is trying to avoid this fight right now. And if it's because of the PBC, he would have been outspoken about it. What's up, Charles? What's up with you? Simone says, nah, he injured. Paulo says Paulo says, but if more fighters were to say the PBC ain't right, then he could screw himself. So you're going to fake an injury and everybody's going to get the backlash on you? No. That guy is he's way too outspoken. He's way too outspoken. Listen, we talking about the same dude that took the Instagram Live and called out his own brother for ducking a Canelo fight. When this guy is hot and frustrated, he goes straight to Instagram and he will tell you about it. This guy is super reckless. Outside of AB, outside of Adrian Broner, who on the PBC is more willing to go on a random live and talk some shit more than the Charlo twins? Who? Nah, I'm not buying that. And I'm not saying it's not true. What I'm saying is, I don't think we have enough evidence to push that narrative. I know that the PBC has been getting smoke from everybody lately, and I'm not saying that it's not justified. But what I'm saying is right now, nah. Now, Fulton just started talking. The Charlo twins been talking. You know how many drunk nights that Jermell Charlo is going on Instagram Live and says something crazy? You know, wasn't Jermell just on Instagram Live showing his gun and all that in his house? Jermell is crazy on Instagram Live. These dudes ain't worse. Benavides, these guys are not. Tank be going on live. Yeah, he be saying stuff on live. He be more on Twitter, though. He's on Twitter a little bit more than the live like that. I think the craziest stuff that Tank say is on Twitter. He kind of chill in the interviews, though. Like he did that interview the other day where he's talking about Ryan Garcia and him possibly juicing and stuff, and he talks shit, but he's kind of chill, like at the same time. I think Jermell, he get fired up. You know, he's talked shit to Bruner. He's talked shit to Tank. He's talked shit to all of those dudes. He doesn't care. Him, Jermell and Jermell Charlo at boxing events, they're almost always about to fight somebody too. Those two are over the top. Like I said, outside of AB, I have to give it to them over the years of the reckless behavior from those two. So you think that he's gonna just sit quiet while he's catching smoke over something involved the PBC not being able to pay them? Hell no. He would have been said something, especially now that everybody's in his comments talking about like you faking an injury. Roland Curtis, thank you for the donation, brother. Appreciate it. He says Jermell Charlo fought the best, beat the best, and won unnecessary rematches. But why do you think that ESPN and others leaves him off their pound for pound list? Why do I think that? I don't know. Is he off the ESPN pound for pound list? I have no idea. Maybe he is. Listen, I would probably think that Jermell Charlo probably is still underrated because they don't see the same level of boxing IQ that they see with other fighters. I would probably say that. I think Jermell and his way of getting outboxed, but then still getting knockouts is probably why people don't respect him on a pound for pound level. You know? Like even the comments that Bud recently said, Bud was trying to say like, you're easier fight, you know, like he's trying to talk him down like you're underneath like Spence, like you're easier fight. You know, he made those comments recently, and you know, some people agreed with what he said, you know, me based on what they were reading, what I was reading. And look, I think it has a lot to do with Jermell and just him being outboxed. You know, I think a lot of people felt that he lost the Castano fight, the first one. You know, I was there. I thought it was really, really close. I remember rewatching it at home because I went to the fight, but I remember rewatching it at home. And I do think that Castano won the fight 7 rounds to 5. All right. I think he edged the fight. I mean, even arguably 8 rounds to 4. I might have even said 8 rounds to 4. Because Castano was more consistent, but Jermell was able to hurt him more often. But round by round, I thought Castano won more rounds than Jermell in that first fight. Same thing the Tony Harrison fight. You know, Tony Harrison seemed to outbox him. And then even in the second fight, Tony Harrison was even doing better in the rematch until he got clipped. So it kind of, not that I want to kind of compare him to Wilder a bit, because I feel that people that don't respect Wilder or dislike Wilder is because Wilder loses rounds all of the time. He doesn't have the highest boxing IQ. He doesn't have the best technique, okay, to win rounds consistently. I've been watching Jermell just about almost his whole pro career. And I could look at his resume here. And I can tell you, he arguably lost the Demetrius Hopkins fight. Right? Arguably. Right? He arguably lost the Vanes Martirosyan fight. Right? Arguably. All right. Another very, very close fight that, you know, he was losing the John Jackson fight clearly before the knockout. Right? Even the judges had it. They gave every round except one round. They stopped in the 8th. The judges all had it 69-64 for John Jackson. Right? So that's another fight. Tony Harrison won. Okay. It was a loss, official loss. Tony Harrison, too. He's losing until he got the knockout. Jason Rosario. Now, he gets the knockout, but people was questioning whether or not it was real. Remember that, right? Remember that. Rosario went down in a weird way where he got hit with a body shot and he went down. But Rosario has been stopped a few times since that fight. I don't think it was weird. I think it looked weird because I think I was covering it live. The way he went down and the way he was reacting on the ground just looked ridiculous. But I think he was really hurt. All right. But that was another fight that people complained about. Then people didn't feel that he won the Brian Castano fight, the first one. So just going through his career and these fights, going through these fights, he's received a lot of backlash through his career about fights that people just weren't impressed with him. Okay. I think he's in his physical prime right now. I think he's gone through a lot of transitions over the years, you know. So I think when people dismiss him from being a pound for pound fighter, I have him in my pound for pound. But when people dismiss him from being a pound for pound fighter, part of it has to do with how he looks when there isn't a knockout. You know what I mean? And I think that has a lot to do with it. All right. So look, that's my stance on it. All right. So I want to move to the next topic. And the last topic of the day before we open up the live for you guys to join up. Steve Fulton, let's revisit this issue with Inoue. And I think this is another issue that I'm seeing online. Everybody's talking about it ever since Inoue beat Paul Butler. Stephen Fulton has gotten a full-blown attack on social media from the boxing fans because they feel that he is ducking Inoue. Inoue is interested in moving up and fighting him. And ever since the WBL mandated the fight with Stephen Fulton, who's currently still the WBO champ, he's still unified. WBO and WBC. All right? WBO and WBC. He is still unified. And the last official news that we heard from Stephen Fulton is that he was going to go up and fight Brandon Figueroa in a rematch at 126 for the WBC title, which Ray Vargas currently holds, but he's going to be moving up to 130. So these guys are going to have their rematch for that WBC title at 126. Leaving those two titles that he unified for down at 122. Now, a few key things. I told you guys in the beginning of the year, right? Earlier this year at some point, in a perfect world, I would love Stephen Fulton and MJ Akhmadaliev to fight each other for undisputed, right? And the winner of that fight fights the winner of Paul Butler and Naoya Inoue, who would be undisputed and will move up to fight the winner of Fulton and MJ. In a perfect world, we would have had two undisputed fighters fighting each other, one from 118 and one at 122. All right. That's what I would have wanted. EB, to answer your question, if you're talking about this mandate with the WBO, it was just mandated last week after Inoue beat Paul Butler. All right. In a perfect world, that's what I wanted. I thought it was unrealistic. You have MJ fighting on the zone. You have Stephen Fulton fighting on Showtime, okay, PBC. And then you had this guy Inoue. He's, fighting usually on ESPN. He's not with Top Rank anymore, but he's fighting. He's doing his own thing. With that being said, I would have loved for that situation to happen. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that MJ, and let me look it up because I don't want to just put out false information. MJ has been out and injured for a while now. His last fight was against Ronnie Rios, and I think he's due for another mandatory soon. In fact, he is. I just can't remember who it's against. Right, but MJ is out. He's injured right now. So it's not even his fault. It's not even Fulton's fault that he can't get the fight with MJ. All right, so yeah, he suffered a broken hand in a Ronnie Rios fight. All right. So he can't even fight him right now. Even if he wanted to, Stephen Fulton can't fight him right now. And Stephen Fulton said in a recent interview that, I was waiting for MJ. I'm not going to wait around forever. I mean, this news of Stephen Fulton fighting Brandon Figueroa came out maybe a couple months ago. Okay, so this was way before the Paul Butler fight. Now, this is the key thing. Whether or not do I think he's ducking him, since he's still holding the titles, right? Technically, he's still the champion. He still has those belts. So if he wants to stick around and fight Inoue, he should be able to stick around and fight Inoue. He has a mandatory. Honestly, no one can stop that fight from happening, or no one should be able to stop that fight from happening unless it's him. If he says, I don't want to fight Brandon Figueroa in a rematch, I'm going to stay here at 122 and fight Inoue, my last fight. I know he's with Al, but if he really wants to fight, he should be able to stay at the division. Yeah, LMS, you're right. You're right about that. I just couldn't remember who it was. All right. And he's been a mandatory, I believe, for a long time, for almost a year from what I read. All right. So what I was about to say is he should be able to stick at the division and fight Inoue if he wants to. The reason why I think he should want to, or would believe that he wants to, and I know he's getting a lot of backlash and he's been responding. You've said a lot about Inoue in these interviews. You sound very confident in fighting Inoue. So when you talk the way you talk, and you don't think he's really that good, you think that he only has power, you think that you'll beat him easily, you see the holes in his game. I've seen these interviews. These are not just recent interviews. These are interviews from a little bit further back. If you're saying this in your interviews, and the guy is now willing to move up to fight you, and you don't fight him, it's going to look like a duck. Especially because you haven't vacated your titles yet. if you haven't vacated your titles and he's now your mandatory, if you now move up to fight Brandon, right? I don't know how far they are with the Brandon Figueroa fight, right? But I know that we got the news a little while ago. With that being said, the Paul Butler fight is done. And you're still technically at 126 because you haven't moved up yet. And there's not a date scheduled for you and Brandon Figueroa. What's stopping you right now? What I want to know, and if I were to ever speak to a Fulton, what is stopping you from fighting Inoue right now? Because Inoue is available. And I told you this before, you guys, when I brought up the Brandon Figueroa fight, when I heard the news of him fighting Brandon Figueroa. I said to you guys then, if you didn't see it, I said, I don't have a problem with the Brandon Figueroa fight. That is a very dangerous fight still, because many people believe that Stephen Fulton lost that fight. Not only that, but now this rematch is going to be at a higher weight. Brandon has fought up there already. He's going up to 126 and had a fight already. And Brandon is naturally the bigger guy. So with that being said, it's not an easy fight for Stephen Fulton. It's not an easy fight. You're going to go and fight have a rematch with a guy that you went life and death with. Whether you think he won or not, you went in life and death with Brandon Figueroa. So it's not an easy fight. And I love the rematch. I mean, many of you were calling for a rematch after the fight. Let's not forget that. I didn't forget that. So with that being said, what's stopping you from saying, you know what? I'm going to stay at 122 and defend my title against Inoue. What's stopping you? Fulton also said in an older interview, he's willing to go to Japan and fight Inoue. There's too much evidence of you talking about Inoue and what you're willing to do to fight him, to not fight him now. That's what I mean by what's stopping you at this point. We know you don't have to fight him. We know that you have your own career. We know that your career is not based on that, but a few good things out of this. And this is strictly just me, and we can talk about it after. Inoue would be a legendary name to have on your resume if you are to win. If you fight Naoya Inoue and you're the first person to put an L on his record, if you're as confident as you claim you are in beating him, that would be a historical win to have on your resume for your career, for your young career. And for Inoue, in my opinion, I know Inoue is way more accomplished. I know he's a 3-division champ. I know he's an undisputed champion. With that being said, I think Stephen Fulton can possibly be his most difficult fight in his career. Possibly. I like Stephen Fulton's chances to beat Inoue more than anybody that Inoue has currently fought. I love his chances of winning over anybody else he's currently fought, or he's fought up to this point. I like his chances. Since I've been watching Inoue, and he's fought some good fighters, but I like Fulton's chances at 122 over anybody else that Inoue has fought up to this point, at least since I've been watching him. I like it. This will be a great matchup. Inoue wants to fight. Fulton has said that he wants to fight. He even said that he's willing to go to Japan. What's stopping you from taking the fight? What's stopping you? Why not take this fight? Especially, and I'm going to drop the link in the comments so anyone that wants to join, especially at this point where everybody's giving you backlash and calling you a duck. This should even make you want to take the fight even more at this point. You know what I mean? And let's say you beat Inoue. Let's say you actually win. The MJ fight could still be on the table and you can still become undisputed if you stay at 122. If he beats Marlon Tapales and he retains his title, you can still have the opportunity to fight MJ later. Now, the Brandon Figueroa fight is a good fight. It's a good fight. I'm not mad at the rematch. Many of you called for a rematch after the first fight. But why not take the fight at 122 while you're there? You didn't move up yet. You know, now if he was saying in every other day, you know, every time we hear from him, he's talking about how, yo, I got to move up. Yo, I can't make weight. I'm struggling to make weight. You know, this, that, and third. We see them on the scales. We see them looking like Devin Haney or something like that. I would say, yo, it's time to move up. Maybe you should move up, bro. But if you feel fine at the weight, and if you've been interested in taking a fight with Inoue in the past, take the fight. You know, that's just my opinion. It's his career. He could do whatever he wants, but it'll be the best fight on his resume. And he has a great resume. I'm not taking anything away from Stephen Fulton. He has some good fighters and he has some good fights on his resume. But they ain't no Naoya Inoue on his resume. And Inoue, same with him. Inoue fighting Fulton would be a great fight. Great fight for him too. You know, a test for Inoue. Him, what's up with you, bro?
What's going on, Wave? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear. What's up with you?
Hey, what's going on? I wanted to call in and talk. I know you were talking about this Stephen Fulton and New Way stuff. We could definitely talk about that. But my passion this morning, and Merry Christmas to you and everybody listening.
Merry Christmas, bro.
My passion, thank you. My passion this morning is the Charlo situation. First of all, I read the report, and he said he broke his hand between his ring finger and his pinky, and also the base of his thumb, or his thumb somehow. That I find that's a little hard to believe. How did you break your hand in that manner, throwing a left hand?
No, I read the pinky and the ring finger, which is
I read also the thumb. Also, you could check it. But I heard also the thumb. If it's just pinky and ring finger, obviously that makes sense. We could see how a punch could be thrown, and your pinky and ring finger could be ahead of the rest of your hand, and you just crack that. I can understand that. But with the thumb, that kind of threw me off. But one thing I wanted to say was, I don't believe that Jermell Charlo is running away from the fight in any way, shape, or form. I think he beats Tszyu easily. Unfortunately, the Jermell Charlo, he's the only PBC fighter that I back. This guy is the only PBC fighter that's doing what we're asking guys to do. So I got a tremendous amount of respect for Jermell Charlo. But unfortunately, he's with Al Heyman, and Al Heyman at this point is a poison to the sport, and he's toxic because he's stupid. And I'm going to explain to you why I say that. I'm gonna give you a list. I'm gonna give you a list of the.
Hold on. Him. Let me just do the shout out real quick.
Go ahead.
Trill, what's up, bro? What's good with you? Merry Christmas to you. This is my guy right here. Thank you for the donation. He says, salute to my brother, the great Boxingwave, one of my Black Fight Fan TV inspiration. Now, is Inoue calling or pursuing the Fulton fight? Yeah, Inoue wants to fight. The last time I've read the last report I read, he's interested in the fight. He's willing to move up to 122. He is now currently a mandatory 2. So if both are on track, we should get the fight. We know he wants to move up, and the WBO is now mandated to fight. Now, I don't know if Inoue has followed up since he became the mandatory, But I've known in other interviews and other reports that I read previous to the Paul Butler fight that he was interested in taking the Stephen Fulton fight. So he has said that he was. And
watch this wave. Watch this wave.
Yeah.
Watch what I tell you, and then watch what you just spoke about with the Steve Fulton and the Inoue thing. This ties in perfectly. Ties in perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a list of names real quick. We know Canelo, we know AJ. You got mega stars in boxing, and then you got right below them, you got rock stars. Okay. So you got mega stars, Canelo, AJ, done. Then you got Triple G, Inoue. This is a mega star, bona fide. I would say Murata is a mega star, bona fide. Another one would be Tszyu, megastar, bona fide. If I had to sneak another person's name in there, I would try to say Tank. All right, as far as big draws in the sport.
Yeah, Tank should be on that list.
Yeah, I think Tank should be on that list. I know the pay-per-views ain't great, but the gate and everything, I got to give him his credit. You know what I mean? I got to give him his respect. Now, what had happened with this fight, talking about the Charlo Tszyu fight, is the same thing that just happened with the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight. I don't know if people notice this. This is what occurred. This fight came to Al Heyman's desk, Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo, and he said, I'm not going to allow anybody else to touch this fight. I'm going to keep this fight with me. And he tried to put the fight in Vegas. That is the stupidest move in the world. You're fighting a megastar in the sport of boxing. You're not a megastar, but you're fighting one. You don't dictate where megastars move. You go to where they are and fight them. If Jermell Charlo would have just simply went to Australia and fought him, that would be all that was needed. But it wouldn't have been the full purse, the full bag for Al Heyman. So Al Heyman tried to control it. What Al Heyman's job to do was to go in there and say, we're bringing you 4 belts. So I want 30% or 40% of the Australian pay-per-view. And I also want 100% of the United States pay-per-view. That was his job, to go in there and negotiate that contract. That still leaves Tszyu with tens of millions of dollars. That's how big of a star he is. That leaves him with his biggest payday ever as well, and still takes care of Charlo. But this guy, Al Heyman, went in there and tried to control the show. And that's why you're not getting the fight. And this is the same reason why you're not getting the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight. And now, to tie into what you was just saying, I guarantee you they're going to try to bring Inoue, the fucking biggest star in boxing damn near, especially in his hemisphere. They're going to try to bring him to America to fight somebody that even Americans don't know. Come on, man.
All right, well, let me tell you what I agree with first, with what you said. This is no different from Devin Haney and Kambosos, as far as certain fights being in Australia. I mean, even Pacquiao and Tom Rank was smart enough to go to Australia and have that fight because they knew they were going to make their money out there. So I'm not dismissing that. I understand that these Australian fighters are big out there where they are, for sure. It's no different from Murata and Inoue being big out there in Japan. All right. I understand that these guys are stars where they are from, and they bring a lot of money where they are at. And I think some of these fighters, some of these fights do belong. I don't even want to say belong, but some of these fights, as far as making a profit, you will probably go to these countries and make more money having these fights.
Obviously.
But going back to what I said before, this is still a conspiracy. What you're saying is still a conspiracy on why Jermell Charlo hand is broken. You're saying that Jermell Charlo, and you're basing it off a thumb now. You're saying that you heard another report, you read another report that said that it was his thumb that's injured, which led you to believe that maybe possibly the injury is fake. With that being said, why would you, if you're just trying to have an injury and you're trying to fake an injury, you can just make the same report and just say that it's an undisclosed injury. Or you can say that you have a sprain. You could say something that's less severe, so where you don't have people like yourself that's going to investigate and have doubts about the injury even being real.
I agree with you.
So with that being said, Jermell Charlo is taking the backlash of his injury to cover up some shit that Al fucked up.
Yes, I listen, Wave. I agree.
With Jermell Charlo, who you say that you support on the PBC end, who I support on the PBC end. That's my guy.
100%. 100%.
This guy, same thing you said about Tszyu, I agree. Tszyu is not his toughest opponent to me.
Yeah,
I think Jermell Charlo is going to
knock him out. Yeah,
I believe that. So with that being said, like, Jermell is going to agree to fake an injury.
Yes.
For Al
Jermell
Charlo,
100%. Yes. Everybody agrees to whatever Al.
Nah, don't say it. Don't say everybody. Don't say everybody. We don't all agree with that.
No, I'm not saying we agree. I'm saying everybody in boxing, as far as the fighters that are listed with Al Heyman, constantly agree with whatever the hell he says. We all know Al Heyman is like a god over there. Come on, man. I'm telling you that Jermell Charlo is not. When is the last time Jermell Charlo has even been out of a fight for an injury? When has this ever happened in his entire career? The guy is the one guy that's fucking solid over there. And now this is the first. We can't blame him for having an injury. All right, if you're a boxer,
maybe
you have an
it's
injury.
because the injury is real. That's why.
No, maybe it is. But no, Wave, you're correct. You're correct. And maybe I am on my conspiracy theory foolishness. But I will tell you this: my conspiracy theory foolishness, right? I have so much collected circumstantial evidence all around it. Everybody at PBC is getting injured at particular moments. I got so much money not showing up. I got so many stories up under the PBC right now that this is not surprising.
Yeah, but people are getting injured all over the place, man.
Oscar Rivas
just got injured.
Oscar Rivas got injured, and Daniel Dubois got injured as soon as he was mandated for Usyk. Oh wow, how did that happen?
Tyson Fury's injured now.
Oh, amazing! Injured by a bottle at the pub.
But none of these guys are PBC fighters.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is just on the PBC side, we're seeing a little too much foolery and strategic fuckery over there, man. And then when you look at this particular, I know for a fact Jermell Charlo is going to knock out Tszyu, but why would you ever stage the fight in America? That just doesn't make sense. Everybody, that just doesn't make sense. When you know you got Jermell Charlo, he's going to knock him out. You don't got to go to the scorecards. It's like Australia is known for robbing you and everything, but you ain't got to go to the scorecards in that fight. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna knock him out.
I mean, listen. I mean, you guys heard me just the other day. I do think there's an issue going on with the PBC, and I think what everybody is saying as far as the finances, I think there's a lot of truth to it, just based on how they're moving and how the fights, the amount of fights that we're not getting. Most of their fighters is fighting maybe at least once a year. Mm-hmm. The schedules is kind of whack, to be honest. And a lot of the pay-per-views are being forced on us and stuff. There's a lot of unjustified pay-per-views. So I agree with all that. I just think when it comes to Charlo, he never moved funny like this before.
Yeah, never.
And the reason why I can't believe that is because it's just that's not kind of. I even gave an example of like the Demetrius Andre situation last year when Andre pulled out of the Zach Parker fight, got injured, and then came back calling out other people. Instead of going after the guy that he was supposed to fight. Those are the situations. It reminds me of Dillian White and when he got injured against Otto Wallin. Same exact shit. Dillian White claims the injury, and then he just says, "Oh, I'm moving on." Bro, just say you don't want the fight.
It's a strategic injury.
I'm not getting that same feel with this situation. I think
Wave, let me ask you a quick question.
Is really injured.
Is it as simple? No, I don't think Jermell is really injured, to be honest with you. I don't think that. That's the only place.
That's cool for
That's
you
the
to
only
think
no. That's the
that,
only
but
place. That's the only place where we disagree. But let me ask you a quick question. Is it as simple as us not paying attention to the date of the fight? As like January 28th was supposed to be the date of the fight. Maybe it could be as simple as, yo, dog, you just got your hand injured. Go 2 months with rehab and everything, and let me get further in the fiscal year so I can have more money to pay for you. And I will just postpone the fight. Is that so far-fetched to think that you did fake a hand injury? But I'll send you an envelope right now too as well. That's what I think that's what's going on over there, fam.
it could be. Listen, it could be. I don't think there's no way to really prove it right now.
They call me a PBC hater, but I'm sorry.
I don't think there's any way to prove that.
It's not hard to hate on the PBC right now. They don't make it hard to hate on them when every single fight is like falling through with some skeptical finances and skeptical injuries. Like it's just crazy.
I think, and I feel you, but I think sometimes it could be us too, and we have no real way of proving it.
You're right.
Even
if
Jermell came out with some X-ray pictures, all that stuff, or pictures showing us, we're not gonna believe it anyway. It is what it is. You know, some people are not gonna believe it.
You're right about that.
I personally don't. I don't think Jermell would do that, and not only that, but I don't think he would do it in order to cover for Al.
Maybe it's a bigger payday down the line,
especially because he hasn't even fought. He hasn't even fought since May. You know what I'm saying?
You said you said you don't think he would do that for Al. That's what you just said.
Yeah, nah.
That's crazy.
Nah, because he's taking it.
Al has changed his life.
Nah, he's taking the heat right now for Al. Look at where he was at. What did I say earlier?
He's taking the heat on the side of his crew where he don't really give a fuck.
Hold on, chill. He went on Instagram and called out his own brother for ducking Canelo when no one even knew that. You think he's going to do this and be quiet for Al? When the money's not right? When we're talking about money, you think he would cover for Al for not having the money? But he will call out for his brother for not taking a fight that he would have taken? His own brother? When we didn't even know that. We didn't know that. It was always, yo, Jermell ducking this, Canelo ducking that. But this man went on his Instagram. People to this day talk about Jermell Charlo and bring up that live and that situation with Canelo based on the fact that Jermell went on live and said it himself.
I don't think he was told that it was just simply about we don't have the money. I'm pretty sure Al Heyman is smarter than speaking to somebody like that. What I'm saying is that they have a business relationship that has been profitable for years. They've been together making money for years. Jermell Charlo is a multimillionaire, lives very well. If his advisor tells him, "Hey, fam, I think we need 2 or 3 months right here. Just tell him you got an injury. I got a doctor or something. Boom, boom. We'll take care of it. I'm still gonna take care of you. And here's an envelope in the meantime." I think Jermell Charlo will definitely do that. I think every single fighter on PBC Island would do that. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. When the guy that you're talking to is the guy that made you rich, I don't think that's far-fetched at all.
All right. I mean, EB, what's up? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's good with you?
Hey, no, man. What's good, man? Appreciate the link. Happy holidays, everybody, man. I just wanted to say, man, my man that just got off, man, and everybody else, man, I think that's some illogical PBC hate we got going on, man. If you ask me, the PBC is the best, especially in America, the best boxing outfit that we got out there. I mean, who's better? Who's making better fights than the PBC?
What?
Correct me.
Are you serious?
I'm talking about American promotional companies. I ain't talking about Matchroom. I'm talking about American promotional companies. Who's making better fights than the PBC?
I'll let you go on that, Wave. I'll let you answer that one.
Anybody?
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all.
Tell me
Matchroom is making way better.
I said America.
In America. You said America.
In America alone.
In America alone, Matchroom is making way better fights.
I think right now Top Rank is giving us more consistent fights in America. Yeah.
I didn't say
Yeah.
consistent.
Oh, Top Rank is.
I didn't say
killing it.
consistent. I said better fight.
America too. America too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see if PBC was the best right now, especially after the year that we had. They just don't give us enough. They give us good. They don't give us enough to me. I wouldn't say that they're the best right now.
They don't give us as much as Top Rank. I agree with that. But that's the different model. We all know that Top Rank is on ESPN. They have more dates. But when it comes to the big fights, if you ask me, hold up, man. Let me finish, bro. When it comes to the big fights, if you ask me, the PBC got it hands down. I mean, we got the Inoue Jermell Charlo fight for free. That's an undisputed fight. We got that for free. We got the Figueroa Cool Boy Steph fights. That's a unified fight. We got those fights for free a couple years ago. Come on, man, get out of here. All the exciting fighters in America are with the PBC. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Yo, man. Oh, man. No, you're wrong, fam.
Wait, you think I'm wrong?
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
I don't think you're. Listen. I'm not gonna call you wrong because you're getting what you like. You're getting what you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you. I don't know if you ever seen them, but I've done some videos where I'm comparing the major networks, including Showtime, PBC, Top Rank, ESPN, DAZN, whoever's over there, whatever. And there's different things that I like and dislike about each. Off the top of my head, am I gonna go down through every Top Rank and every PBC fight that went down this year? I'm not gonna do that right now. Now, I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong for thinking that because you clearly love what the PBC is offering you. If that's what you like, I like it too. Now, I don't think they're consistent. I don't think that every fight, well, we both agree that they're not giving us as much, but they did give us some great fights. Like Wilder and Fury was that this year?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. That was this year. That was earlier this year. Yeah. Yeah, that was in June, July this year.
Fulton Figueroa was this year. Fulton is giving us some good fights. Jermell Charlo against Castano was this year, so that was a really good fight.
Yeah.
We got Spence versus Ugas. What else did we get from the PBC? We got
Gary Antoine Russell, a couple of fights. The young
Gary gave us a couple good fights. Who else? Tank fought Roley, which it was comical.
We got the kid from Minnesota. What's the kid name? I forget, the 168-pounder, the new guy. All right. Young boy.
So you know how I just did that off the top with PBC and Showtime?
Yeah, now do that with Top Rank.
I can't because there's too many fights.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't because they don't have that many.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the best Top Rank fight?
I was about to say that.
Give me the top three Top Rank fights.
Boxingwave, you on point. I was about to say the exact same thing that you said.
But give me the top three. Give me the top three. Top three.
They gave me
Stevenson Valdez.
They gave me. Shakur was the first page. Let me tell you what they're giving me.
Go ahead.
They're giving me Stevenson, whatever he's done. They've given me Jared Anderson, whatever he's done.
Oh my God.
They've given me Teofimo Lopez. They gave me Lomachenko. They gave me that Jermaine Ortiz fight was fire, by the way.
Tyson Fury.
Don't Tyson Fury now. But that Jermaine Ortiz.
No, Tyson Fury is a top-ranked fighter.
Well, he's
sometimes.
So he's Queensberry in London, and he's top. He's top-ranked both times. It don't matter.
What I'm going to say with that is Tyson Fury is with Queensberry.
Thank you.
I think Top Rank broadcast. He's in charge with the America aspect.
Yeah.
Of Tyson
Yes.
Fury.
Exactly. 100%.
If I don't want to, you know what I'm saying. So
yeah.
I can really go on, but Top Rank has so many fighters and they have fights on a regular. They gave us an Inoue fight, not the Paul Butler one. Well,
didn't they give us Beterbiev, Joe Smith?
Oh yeah, they gave us that too.
Oh, that's a dagger in your back, man.
They have a lot. I gotta. That's a good question. And you know what? EB is
EB
I'm saying your
is
name
not
right?
looking good for you, man.
That's it. That's it.
Nah.
Yep.
I wanna double back and do this like how we doing it right now, but I want to do it where I want to see exactly. I want to do a video where I'm talking about all three and have every fight that went down this year. You know, because but you have a good point because you're talking about American only, right?
Yeah, that's it.
The reason why that's unfair is because PBC is only American, and I watch everything that's worldwide.
No, I feel you, but see, the thing the way I look at it is, people talk about the PBC like it's top ranked. The PBC is only what, 8, 9 years old, maybe even a decade old.
No, I don't think it's that old. We're
not even a decade.
The actual PBC, the Premier Boxing Champions. Not talking about Al Heyman. If we're talking about Premier Boxing Champions, I think it's about maybe 7, 8 years old.
Yeah,
exactly,
something like that.
So I'm saying it's in its infancy. So I mean, so you really can't compare it. But in my opinion, they got the best fighters, and to me they put on the most exciting.
EB, let me ask you a question. EB. Think about it like this. I'm asking, can you see it like this? Think about it. If you, EB, you Matchroom, you doing global shows, you rocking shit, right? You really doing well, and you rocking in America. But they only compare you to what you do in America. And they only compare you to the guys that own America. Why do you think that that's fair to you? Because you're doing a whole bunch of big business. And you still, and I'm going to be honest with you, EB, as far as this year, and I think the year before, and maybe the year before that, Matchroom has put on the biggest shows in America. In America. Matchroom has put on the biggest shows, I think, in the past 3 years running. We could argue that point, but you got to remember that Joshua actually came to New York at some point. So I think that's completely unfair.
It's a worldwide sport, bro.
Yeah, it's a worldwide
and that's
sport.
why when
everything
I
is not American. Forget that, man.
Wait, EB. Well, I didn't want you to get offended when I answered your question in the beginning. I said, it's about what you like, and you clearly like. You started this with saying American, and I'm like,
absolutely.
Oh, I just got up last week to do Inoue and Paul Butler live commentary at
6 in the morning.
6 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These fights. I'm American, but these fights count too. Like
no doubt,
it's a worldwide sport. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's what it is. Like.
Yeah, you saying though, eBay, you saying that that PBC has the best fighters out of everybody. That's what you're saying. But what that means in that statement, when you say they got the best fighters, that means that those fighters have the belts, because this is a worldwide sport. That means that those fighters have went and beat the other champions all around the world and took their belts from them, and now they're fighting on the PBC. That's what that means. When someone has the best fighters, they haven't. Only person that's done that is Jermell.
Pocket, thank you, man. He says, Wave on point. There are things I like and I don't like about the PBC, the zone, top rank, etc. And we need more fights, period, less boxes. Absolutely. I agree with you. And what real quick, yo, Swoop Dre, you there?
Yeah, what's good, fellas? I don't really celebrate holidays or nothing, but I hope all y'all are doing well. But yeah, I'm out. That SWP, that's an acronym for Southwest Philly. So yeah, Southwest Philly, Dre. I'm out of Philly, man. How y'all feeling?
What's good? Everything is good, man. What's your thoughts on this debate?
Well, my thing to EB, I vehemently disagree with him when he said PBC give us the best fights. Historically, PBC has been stifling the best fights. I mean, we didn't get Joshua Wilder. We didn't get Crawford Spence. Tank was a few years ago virtually begging on Instagram to take the fight with Tevin Farmer when Eddie Hearns offered him $7 million. But, you know, Al Heyman and Floyd, they vetoed that fight. So it's plenty of fights that actually that PBC has stifled when they could have made them. So yeah, they definitely don't make the best fights. I have ton of examples to disprove that.
Yeah, but, hey, can I say something real quick on that though? Hey, so in my opinion, we are all really quick to blame the PBC when those cross promotional fights don't happen. And to me, it takes two to tango. So we can't jump
yeah,
out the
7
window.
million. The same thing with here. What Punch Quote just said. The same thing. 7 million was offered to them. They turned it down. It was offered. It wasn't the other way around.
Same thing with
the Zone offered. Matchroom offered these fights. This
See,
money.
Here's my deal with that, and this is why I question that. Anybody can throw numbers out there. We know that. I'm a YouTube boxing head. I'm always on everybody's channel chatting. But what I'm saying is, Matchroom can say they threw 7 million out for Charlo and Andrade, but they can't even get Charlo and Munguia. And it's all on the Zone. They can't even get Charlo Triple G, but they want us to believe that they made. I mean, they can't get Andre Triple G, Andre Munguia, but they want us to believe that they made some offers to Charlo. And it's. But all I'm saying is, it's two sides to every story. It's almost like Democrats, Republican. Yeah, we wanted to have this, but we threw a little extra in the pot, so they couldn't agree to it. I just don't buy that. Can
I tell you how that's not true? Can I real quickly? The thing is, when we speak as men, objective men, we actually have to look at historical events and then extrapolate from there accordingly. If you look at when the Zone or Matchroom launched its exception through the Zone, the money was real enough for Mikey Garcia when he went over there to get $7 million for Jesse Vargas. I mean, Mikey for Jesse Vargas. The money was real enough when Jose Ramirez went over there to fight Maurice Hooker for the unification match. The money was real enough for Andy Ruiz to go over there when what's the other guy named Luis Ortiz turned down the fight. So we have plenty of examples of fighters who actually have the heart and the permission to go over getting money. So you really can't say that.
Danny Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs, when he left HBO, when he went over there and made his biggest payday fighting Canelo Alvarez. So we have tons of examples. We have to go from the evidence we have and then go off of that, my brother.
No, I feel you on that.
100%.
So yeah, there've been some people that went over and made money. All I'm saying is,
real quick, let me just say this something real quick.
Go ahead.
If Wave has been on online forever, for years. I've been watching Wave for years. You could literally go through his video catalog and you could find every fight that the PBC didn't make and whatever arguments. He's been talking about it for years. So you can literally go through his catalog and it'll document every fight that wasn't made, the Luis Ortiz offer from AJ, the Kalnacki offer from AJ, all of that stuff is documented. The proof is in the pudding.
No, I've been around. I follow Wave, and I love the channel. That's why I'm here. But I'll be honest with you, I follow a lot of channels. So when I go over to the LDBC brothers, and I love their channels, Black Fight Fan was up here, and the argument is totally different, and they bring their set of proof too. I don't believe that everything is on the PBC side. I just don't believe it.
The truth is the truth, and it's not that we trying to down the PBC. We're not PBC haters. I know people in the chat were saying that I sound like a PBC hater.
You sound like it, brother.
I know I do. I'm supposed to. The reason why I'm supposed to sound like a PBC hater is because I'm a true boxing fan. And like the other brother was just saying in his last commentary, we have a history with the PBC of them destroying fights. Do you know how many times? We count like 4 times that Deontay Wilder has stood in front of Undisputed. We have so much information and evidence behind the PBC and their foolishness. It's ridiculous.
Nah, bro. I can't let that one get off because Deontay was in the right trying to get his fight.
Yeah, I know you believe
that. One thing I want to add though, when it comes to
Wave did a video on that too.
Somebody made a comment about Munguia and was it Andre?
Yeah, Munguia ain't fight nobody.
Well, Charlo.
We also got to remember too that when it comes to the Zone, because the Zone at this point is holding many different promoters over there. There's a lot of promoters, and when it comes to Munguia and Andre's with Matchroom, You know, Munguia's with Golden Boy. So yeah, it should be easier to make certain fights on that network for sure, because the network wants certain fights because they want to make money too. You know, but at the same time, you know, I think, and that's what happened with Canelo. I think from the jump, I think the zone wanted, when they signed Triple G over there, they really wanted the Canelo. He really went there to get that third Canelo fight at some point, you know? So I think that was the plan. So yes, you have the networks that want specific fight, or they might promise or do deals, but at the end of the day, there are still fights that don't happen on the zone with two zone fighters. And part of it has to do with Oscar. He has his own set of fighters, and Hearn has his own set of fighters. So it doesn't always mean that the fights are going to be made, but there's a lot of fights where they're both our fighters and we can't get the fight neither. Gary Russell.
Now that was Leo Santa Cruz didn't want the fight. We know that. Real fight fans. Gary Russell went up to this man's father, and Leo didn't want that fight.
Yeah.
So Al didn't make it. That's just like Triple G didn't want to fight Andre. They both were on the zone. That man went to the zone to get that Canelo or Triple G fight, and he couldn't get either one of them. So I'm just saying,
that's even before
hold everybody accountable.
That's HBO because
no.
That was something we wanted on HBO.
Oh yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just adding to that. Like
but EB
and they never wanted that Andre fight, period, or Jermell Charlo. But
EB, the examples you bring in are anomalies, though. When you look at the greater scheme of things, like for instance, Leo Santa Cruz, he wanted that smoke with Rigo, but he admitted that he was told to give his belt up and move up. They didn't make that fight. But my thing with Deontay Wilder is I don't really want to go back to that. But Deontay Wilder did admit when he was trying to get the rematch with Tyson Fury, he came out on Twitter and said, "Be a man in your word and fight me, because I could have made more money fighting Wilder, but I decided to fight you." So Joshua, he admitted Joshua. My bad. Yeah, Joshua. So he actually was offered more money and a better deal, bro.
He confirmed that on himself.
Yeah, I remember that.
So respect eBay. So respect with what was just said. You got to understand, I know you all about America, but if he was offered more money to fight AJ than Fury, you got to understand that there's more money outside of America. America don't matter like that no more. Like, fuck America. Everything's American related. It's the truth. Yo,
but I know.
Listen, Inoue and Inoue, a guy that most American people don't know, he makes more money and a bigger star than Tank Davis and Wilder combined.
That's why I disagree with you. I'm not saying he don't make more money.
The numbers don't lie.
Hold up. I'm not saying he don't make more money, because he may. But when you guys
say he generates more interest and he makes more money.
Hold up, brother. When you guys say that this guy is a bigger star and he generates more interest, man, don't nobody know who Inoue is except us.
Oh, come on, man.
And I'm being okay. Wave just said that he got up at 6 a.m. to do an Inoue fight. Now, Wave, you tell us, were your viewer numbers the same as when you call a Tank fight?
No. Inoue is not bigger than Tank here in America.
No, of course he's not bigger than Tank in America. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that he's a bigger star than Tank, period.
In his country, respectively. He's talking about countries.
Yes, in his country, respectively. Tank in his country. Listen, when you go to Japan, don't nobody know who the fuck a Tank is either. So, all right, so when you in America, nobody knows who Inoue is, respectively. Yo, Kubrat Pulev sells out Bulgaria. You don't understand this. There's real stars out here that's doing real numbers, making big money.
Hold on, let me tell you about numbers, because I can tell you, I can confirm this. Whenever I do a video like on breakdown on a Filipino fighter, it gets more views than anything.
Oh my God.
It could be anybody. It could be, I did a video on Ryan Garcia against who's the first test he supposed that knockout dude, the guy that Frank Martin beat, Duno and Ryan Garcia breakdown. Dude, I got like 8K views, mad random, for no reason.
That's how big the sport is.
anytime you do a video on the Filipino fighters, they come through like a mob in here.
Yeah, because they got Pacquiao had big following. I agree. But what about Inoue? Now, have you ever done a Inoue breakdown where you got massive numbers?
I did a Inoue post-fight review with Donaire, and that got massive numbers.
Well, Donaire is Filipino. Outside of the Philippines.
You got a point.
Yeah, but boxing, sir. What I think. My bad. Go ahead.
But yeah, at the end of the day, what you're saying is what Tank is big in America. Yes.
Yes.
Inoue is big in Japan.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. But he's not a bigger star than Tank. He's just a star in his country, like a Tank is a star in our country. So why we hype him up like he's some type of international world beater? It's not true.
You know why?
No, it's not about us hyping it up. What it is this. This is the problem. These two fighters end up fighting, right? We know Tank and Inoue is in different weight classes, but you understand what I'm saying. Just get my point. Just roll with me for a second. These two fighters end up fighting, and the one fighter will say, "Oh, you have to come to my country to fight me," and it's like you're not even a big enough star in that country to try to demand me to fight you. If you come to my country and fight me, there we'll make a lot bigger money. And then y'all talking about Duckin and all of this old funny stuff. It's just you put too much respect on the American landscape, where you need to also show some respect to everybody else, man.
As far as because I don't even know how we got here to this point, but let me say something. Let me just say this: there's levels of just fame when it comes to athletes. Like you saw Canelo and Messi and that whole thing going back and forth with the jersey and stuff, right? Messi is, Canelo. We look at Canelo as just being this big megastar and stuff like that. Lionel Messi is like, dude, that guy is like, he's like a god to people around the world, not just his country. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I had to compare a soccer player because there's certain levels. Like, there's real icons out there. There's people. I don't feel like until a boxer can go to a completely different place in another world and fight a fighter and fill out an arena in a crowd that doesn't belong to him. That's the only way you can tell that these guys like this. I don't even like saying megastar like that, because unless you have proven to make those kind of numbers, not just in your backyard, but in other places, which many of these boxers haven't really done. Just about almost none of them have done it.
Canelo's the only one.
Who?
Canelo, to me, Canelo's the only megastar in boxing right now.
No, Anthony Joshua is Canelo.
I stand corrected. Yes, sir. And AJ.
But my issue, what I was talking about with Wave earlier, was that, like, look at Jermell Charlo versus Tszyu. If you look at that fight, it makes absolutely no sense that fight would take place in America. Tszyu is a star. He's proven to do numbers. He is for real in his country. Like, I don't know why we should even have to say that. That it's boxing. If you could put asses in seats, you could put asses in seats. Of course, it's location based, but that's it. So now, Tank Davis could put asses in seats in Brooklyn in the Barclays, or Tszyu could put asses in seats in a stadium in Australia or wherever the hell.
Yeah, I don't think
Jermell Charlo cannot put asses in seats nowhere here or at that level.
What I'll say with this is, I think it's only natural for people to just not say that somebody's a star if they never heard of them or they're not familiar with them in their country. I mean, at the end of the day, boxing is still big. It's not as big as it once was in America. But for people that watch boxing in America, then it's not going to come out. It's not natural for them to call Tszyu a star.
Oh.
It's just not. It's not. You're never going to hear someone from America say that. Like, it's just not going to happen. Now, I know he is a star in Australia, but the average American probably can't name more than one or two Australian boxers. You know what I'm saying? It's just 100%. It's just, it is what it is. And it's all good. I don't even get mad at that kind of thing. It's just the whole argument where, like, you believe what you believe based on this Jermell Charlo situation in his hand. I personally don't think, I'm not saying it's not real. What I'm saying is what we have that was provided to us. I don't feel like Jermell Charlo faked the injury because PBC don't have the money for the fight. You know, and I think if they would have done it, I don't think they would have went too much into detail on the injury itself.
Let me ask you a quick question, Wave.
Yes.
If you took Jermell Charlo faking the injury, right? If you took that out of the sentence, Jermell Charlo had an injury, whatever happened. Let's remove that from the sentence. And the fight just simply got canceled. If the fight just simply got canceled, right?
That's different. That's totally different.
Yeah, that's totally different.
That's
now,
different.
In that perspective, in that regard, do you think in that regard that you would say, PBC probably don't got the money, they're probably struggling with funding?
Yeah. Or maybe it's not that specifically.
I'm just asking a question.
What I'm saying is it would be something based on the politics and most likely the business and the PBC.
Yes, you would agree.
They did not want to have this fight right now.
Exactly.
That would be the reason for it.
Okay, that's a legitimate answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Wade, Tszyu is a PBC fighter also, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know if he's a PBC. I know he fought on the PBC the last fight, right, against Goucher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he fought.
Only times I've seen him fight was on PBC.
Yeah, I think, I would, I don't know if he's legitimate, like he's gonna fight with a PBC forever. I don't know if he just got like a 2-fight deal. Maybe that deal was, I have no idea, but I know he is the mandatory anyway. You know, he is the mandatory at the end of the day.
No doubt. And plus all this stuff about PBC going broke, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. But that's also something that I think that's a narrative that's being pushed. Now, maybe it's true because I'm not an insider. But come on, man.
How do you feel about these pay-per-views?
Well, I think that's their model because they're such a young company. And like people were saying in the beginning, they were overpaying fighters.
But they weren't. Maybe you can't say they're a young company because they weren't always doing it at this volume with pay-per-view.
Yeah, no. So I'm saying now their business model may have had to change because the finances may be different now. I
agree with. That is sure. Yeah,
so I think that you just pay for what you want. So when you because I didn't pay for no Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz, but when you make that a pay-per-view fight, what you're saying is, hey, look, you guys are going to fight. You're going to get paid what you're worth, and the people are going to determine what you're worth. To me, that's fine. I didn't pay for that.
Well,
I didn't want to see it.
I think DAZN might have, I know they've been doing it with Canal. How many pay-per-views they had DAZN? Was Usyk and Joshua pay-per-view 2, the rematch? Usyk Joshua 2? Do you guys remember or not?
I think it was.
I don't know.
Think it was. I know I paid. I watched it live. I'm pretty sure I probably paid. I think it came with a subscription. If you was a subscription holder, I think they automatically tacked it on or something. I don't know.
I made a video a long time ago talking about DAZN. I think this was probably one of the first videos where I compared the networks and this because I subscribe to everything. I mean, I have Fight TV. I pay because I feel like with the donations I get it back anyway to pay for these events. And I remember making it. I made a comment in a video and basically said, I don't know how DAZN is going to be able to sustain just this monthly subscription and not charge for pay-per-views at some point, especially because not everybody's subscribing. Like a lot of people at that time in the beginning didn't know what DAZN was for the first couple of years. But now they're going to have pay-per-views, and I think it's going to be more than just Canelo and Joshua. I think that's what we're getting for now because they have high purses, but if they continue to grow fighters and have fighters with big names, at some point, Conor Benn was going to be, that was going to be a pay-per-view too. Conor Benn and this guy,
Eubank. It would have been a worthy. Yeah, it would have been a worthy pay-per-view though. Yeah. That's a classic fight. That's something else. But I do see where you're going. You're saying they're going to end up being more HBO kind of streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, and I do agree that that's where it's headed.
How do
But
y'all feel? I'm sorry to cut you. Let me let you finish because I
no,
just want to switch topics.
well, I'm saying, but overall, you're still getting a better product than you used to get. When we were getting amazing fights for fucking $10 a month, man. We were getting huge fights for $10 a month, and that's a good look. When they giving you 90% and only charging you for 10%, I could deal with that.
Yeah, Tony, I paid the $100 a year too. I mean, I paid just the
Yeah,
yearly.
so,
It's at this point, it's no point of just paying it any other way. All right, question. Fulton and Inoue in that situation. What are your guys' thoughts on that whole situation? And you know, Fulton, you know, going, you know, well, at least it was reported that he was going to go up to fight Brandon Figueroa, maybe like a couple months back, and now that Inoue is the mandatory for the WBO, he's going to be going up, and a lot of people feel like Fulton is ducking him by going up to 126. What are you guys' thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, as my name says, SWP,
Oh, South
Southwest
Philly.
Philly. Yeah,
Southwest
Southwest
Philly.
Philly. I'm from Philly, man, and but just because I'm from Philly, I'm not going to be biased, and I think that as you mentioned earlier, Cool Boy, he's been doing a lot of masquerading, man, within like the last year and a half or so, maybe longer than that. I don't really see how this dude, especially outside of his power, I'll fight him in Japan, etc., etc. The thing is, Inoue mentioned before he fought Butler that if he were successful in winning, that he was going to move up. So my thing is, he been put that out there. Now you're talking about you want to go to 126 for a guy you already beat. You may have arguably beat him, but nonetheless, you still beat him. To me, if he moves up and go to 126 after talking all that crap, it's a duck, bro. In my opinion, it's a duck because he's your mandatory now. And you said you'll fight him in Japan already. So you set the stipulations before y'all even went into negotiating or et cetera, et cetera. You have to be a man of your word. If you don't, it's a duck. And I'm from out of Philly. And it's a duck to me.
And to add to that, my issue is this all started, all of this talk was like way before the Paul Butler fight. You know what I'm saying? And the mandatory came in after. So I feel like if Cool Boy was like, I'm not like, because he said this is my career, I'm not going to be sitting around waiting for people. So I get you. You was waiting for MJ to do what he got to do, but he got injured. Plus, he has a mandatory. Even with those two being unified, the fight wasn't going to go down next anyway. So all you have is Inoue at this point. Inoue just had to fight, but you're not even scheduled to fight Brandon yet. You haven't even moved up. He even said, I don't know if he tweeted it or said it in an interview, I haven't vacated shit. I still have my titles. So with that being said, I think if I was him, based on his energy, I'm not saying if I was him, like I'm the one fighting. Based on his energy and based on what he said in mad interviews, I would stay and fight Inoue. If you feel as confident as you felt in every single interview that you said, where I see holes in this game, he has nothing but power. I think I have things I can exploit with him. I would like you to fight him now because he's available. Now if Inoue for whatever reason doesn't take the fight, well then now everything will be on Inoue, not on you.
I think Stephen Fulton, my whole look on this situation is off of one question. And my question is, how old is he?
20 or Inoue or Fulton?
Inoue is older.
Fulton. No, just Fulton.
Inoue is like 29, Fulton's 28.
Okay, so 28 years old. What I see is this. These are two different guys from two different backgrounds, ethnically or whatever you want to call it. I think Stephen Fulton wrote a check that his ass can't cash, not because of his skill set or lack of skill set. I don't think that he could naturally stay at the weight at this age any longer. I think he has to move up. I don't think he's like so much that he's running from Inoue. I think that you cannot. I think same thing about Devin Haney. I think if Devin Haney fights Lomachenko, it's a mistake. You are at your limit at 135. Your last fight, you were lucky to make it out alive, as far as I'm concerned, because you would look like a dead man on the scales. So now, Fulton, you're close to expiring at this weight. Your expiration date is probably 2 months ago, and you're gonna try to stretch back down to fight the biggest killer you could ever meet that's actually growing and coming up. No.
What is that based off of, though?
You understand what I'm saying? Like, think about it. The most heaviest puncher below the weight is now coming up. That puncher, his body is going to breathe and grow. And your body is expired at the weight. Your body is extracting and contracting and fucking up to try to get to the weight. And you go fight the heaviest puncher at the weight? That just doesn't make sense. It's stupid.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What are you basing your assertion off of? Because usually
what I'm basing my assertion off of is common sense and weight draining. People don't know that weight draining is very devastating in the sport. But anyway, what I'm basing it on is Inoue is powerful, and even Inoue is walking around at what, 125, 127. He's bringing himself down to 118 or whatever to make the weight. So now, how does his body expand and how does his body grow at a new weight? Look at what I'm basing it on. You asked me, right? I'm gonna show you the sport. Look at.
I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished.
No. You asked me a question. I'm gonna answer.
Yeah, I wasn't finished my question though.
Go ahead.
Like, you just cut me off.
I'm sorry.
No problem. What I was saying is, because, and I'll make it real quick. Typically, when fighters are like struggling with the weight, they usually like give a caveat, like, okay, I'm struggling with the weight, or I came in, I'm struggling with the weight. He never said anything that be indicative of him struggling with the weight,
brethren. He's moving up in weight, brethren. He's moving up in weight. He said he's moving up in weight. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but he said he still has his titles and he hasn't vacated anything either.
No, he hasn't vacated, but he's moving up in weight. He's a 28-year-old man fighting at what is 122? Like, come on.
But he's small though. He's very small though. It's not like he's like thick or like has like a naturally bigger guy. He's small. He actually be small at 126.
Yeah, Noiseless says Fulton's trainer in an interview 2 days ago said that Inoue needs to move up to 126 to see Fulton.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
All right, and I want to respond to another comment too. Corey D says, now if he takes the Fig fight but don't drop his belt, I'll cut some slack. But that can't happen, because if he fights Fig, it would be above 122, and he can't fight over the limit of 122. He can't hold the belt and move to 126 and fight. You can hold the belt when you're like coming down or whatever, but you can't hold it and go and fight above the weight and still hold the belt and fight.
Wave.
Well, you can.
Wave. Can I just?
Yeah, but Figueroa, no, you can't, because that would be for a WBC title. That fight, they're fighting for a WBC title at featherweight.
No, but didn't Canelo, when he fought Bivol, didn't he keep his 168 titles? He would have, and when he lost and he went back down. But you can keep your titles. You just got to make your mandatory.
Oh, I'm tripping right now.
That's true.
You're right.
He's right. He's right about that.
My bad.
Let me just finish what I was trying to say. Like, yo.
So he won't be defending his titles, basically, in that scenario. Yeah. My bad. Yeah. I'm tripping. I don't know.
He won't be defending. He'll still be the champion.
Yeah. My bad. I mean? My bad, Corey.
No, I'm having a few sips too, so don't get it. I'm having a few sips too. That's all cool. It's Christmas, man. But what I was trying to say is, like, the weight is really an issue. People don't understand how much the weight really affects you and how much it is a problem. Take a look at a perfect example, and this is a crazy thing that I'm about to say. You would never imagine what I'm about to say, but it sounds crazy. Do you think that Arthur Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr., Bivol, what's the other one? Joe Smith Jr., Bivol, Anthony Yard. Do you believe that they're not the heaviest punchers at 175? Could you ever believe that? That sounds crazy, doesn't it? to think that they're not the heaviest punchers at 175. The four of them.
You said who? Bivol,
Beterbiev, Yard, Joe Smith.
Who's the heaviest puncher at 175?
Callum Smith. I think right now Callum Smith is the hardest puncher at 175.
That's just your opinion.
See the difference?
Yeah.
No, that might be opinion. It might be opinion. No problem. I'm talking shit. Don't get it twisted. Like I said, I had a few sips.
No, I know. No, but I know where you're going with
look
this.
At the power.
And I've said,
look at the change.
Hold
on.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
Come on. Look at the change in weight class. Look at the change in weight class. Look at what he's doing now. He's knocking out people violently, and they are career light heavyweights, and he's knocking them out violently.
But this is but
that's a crazy. Think about it.
But let me tell you this though.
Mm-hmm.
He's knocking out people crazy violently. Cool. But look at those two people he just knocked out.
Yep.
And the last two before that, there's a different level of opposition.
No, yes,
Ryder
I agree,
and Saul Canelo Alvarez is proven.
No, we understand that, but he was fighting. My point was,
I agree with
Beats.
What you're saying.
Beats. You don't know Beats. You messing up. I said at 175. My whole point is about the weight. You got to remember, my point is about the weight. At 168. He's straining and hurting himself. Once he grows, he's at 175, and there's two violent knockouts all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The Saul Alvarez and the other guy, this guy Joe, what's his name, John Ryder. Those were 168. But look at what happens when he lets his body grow. He's destroying people, and he's destroying people that were built up there. That they only fought at 175. They never fought below that. He's been knocking them out.
Yeah, but for me though, I have to respectfully disagree because he hasn't done it on a top level yet. Until he gets in there with like a Bivol or Beterbiev or even a Vlad.
No, I agree with you. I agree. That's fair enough. Right. I got to give you that respect.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
that's fair enough.
But you know what? I've said this about both Shakur and I said this both about Shakur and Devin Haney. I don't think they're ever going to be violent punchers, but I felt like, especially Shakur, when I was saying this about Shakur at 126, and I was saying this definitely about Haney to his career. I said, Haney is holding his power back, being at 135 and draining himself to make the weight. Now, when I say that, I mean, like, when I say power, I don't think he's going to move up to 140 and just be knocking guys out like that. But what I'm thinking is that his power is going to be painful enough to where guys ain't just going to just try to be walking through him. People say that he's a feather-fisted puncher. I don't necessarily believe that's true at 140. I think he will hit a little harder at 140. I mean, people said the same thing about Floyd, but then you heard the interviews of everybody that Floyd at 147, like Shane, like Oscar, all of those guys say, no, Floyd hits hard. It's just he's just not knocking dudes out like that. I mean, he knocked out Ricky Hatton, but there's a reason why these fighters don't just keep walking forward through what he's throwing, because he hits hard. He does hit hard. Violent punching power,
Yeah.
Hey, but I did want to say something real quick on that. The whole thing that you just kicked off with, as far as Cool Boy Duckin Inoue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another point where, in my opinion, we got to twist it, man. So, first of all, I think it's too quick for us to determine if he's going to duck or not. And I know you're saying if he goes up.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, if Steph's been calling out Inoue for quite some time, like you said, he's been saying his name and saying how he get at him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once this man outgrows the division and he has to move up, it's not fair to call him a duck. Inoue didn't jump up at the time when Steph was calling him out. So that's
not an argument that I'm making, because I said the same thing about this. I said the same thing about just now with Devin Haney and Lomachenko. I said the same thing. I said, look how bad this guy looks on the scales against Kambosos in a rematch. There's no way that this guy's going to stay at 135. And people were saying before Lomachenko's fight with Jermaine Ortiz, this guy's going to duck him by moving up to 140. And I'm like, how? This guy clearly shouldn't be fighting at 135 anymore, even though he's still going to stay down there. But once Lomachenko struggled against Ortiz, then everybody was like, oh well, Lomas fell off. You know, that's just how fickle boxer fans are. They're always going to jump the gun. Now, my thing is with Stephen Fulton though is that I would like for him to talk about, because what's the name? Him Theon Boxing said earlier, he probably did all this talking, not thinking that he was going to get, you know, the weight was going to catch up to him at some point. Then he went on his whole thing, and I agree with a lot of what he just said. My thing is, Fulton needs to say exactly what's going on, what he plans to do. I know he's been reacting to a lot of the comments he's saying, but we need a pure interview. It's like, listen, what are your plans? What is this move to 126? Like, what exactly is going on? Can you make 122 anymore? Like, I would like for him to be direct.
Wave. What it is I'm not shitting on Fulton at all. I don't have no issues with him at all. What I'm saying is this: if you went a month and a half ago, and you said, "Oh, Shakur Stevenson, who you gonna fight at 130? Or you going undisputed?" Shakur Stevenson would say, "I'm fighting Cordina. I'm fighting this one. I'm gonna whoop their ass. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." And Shakur Stevenson didn't know that the weight caught up to him, and now he got to move up to 135. I think the same thing happened with Fulton. He was popping shit like he's supposed to pop shit in his division, but the division caught up to him. That's all it is, and that's all.
Man,
it ain't like he is some punk that, you know, everybody trying to play like he a punk and this and that. He ducking. It's not that. He just fucked up.
You know what I think it is though, because he said on Twitter he could be being advised, and this is just my conjecture. I don't really have any proof, but he could be being advised from Al Heyman to just move up, because he said on Twitter, if you go to his Twitter, he said it's a lot. He said it's a lot of things I want to say right now, but I just can't say it. So I'm just looking at it like, oh well, what do you mean you just can't say it? So that raised some red flags for me. So who knows because like Inoue still is top ranked, and we've been having these network wars for years now. So I don't know. That could be a factor though. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think we're gonna really find out. I mean, what I want and what I think I'm gonna get out of all of this is, I really just think that Fulton's probably just gonna move up to 126 fighting Brandon, and Inoue is gonna just fight for a title, one of those titles, if not both, in his very next fight. And Inoue is gonna do his thing at 122, and Fulton's gonna move up and do his thing at 126. And not only that, but I don't know about how y'all feel, but I don't think the Brandon Figueroa is going to be any easier than it was the first fight. I think it's going to be a hard ass fight for him, even in a rematch.
Because he'll be bigger. Brandon Figueroa will be bigger. Yeah.
It's not going to be any easier, man. I mean, that fight is a very debatable fight depending on what you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very debatable fight. I remember watching it. I did go back. Oh, and I meant to tell y'all, because I don't know if y'all are subscribed to Showtime, but recently I've been doing a bunch of breakdowns without having much video access to Showtime fights, because they're hard to find on YouTube. But Showtime the other day released a ton of fights for upcoming fighters. Like Tank, all his fights was up. I seen the Hector Garcia, Chris Colbert fight was up. Like all the fights that I needed, like the last few weeks, all of those fights are on Showtime right now. They put everything on there. So Jermell Charlo fights is all off there. Tony Harris, all those fights is all up right now on Showtime. But
that's it, the most exciting fights in boxing. Go ahead and say it. PBC, baby.
Can I ask you a question real fast?
This guy is crazy.
I want to get y'all opinion on something real fast. So I have some people who debate me on this, and I don't know. Maybe I am being a little hyperbolic when I say this, but okay, with skill sets, right? Generally speaking, in my opinion, an elite fighter is a person who can like beat all styles, right? Whether they knock them out or go 12 rounds with them, like a Terrence Crawford or like a Chocolatito, like, you know, they're elite of the elite. Like, it's not too many styles that can befuddle them. So my point is, I know that Jermell Charlo is undisputed at 154. I get that. And I know that Spence has 3 titles at 147. But when I look at Jermell Charlo's skill set, I see that he has very bad balance. He's not a good body puncher. He doesn't handle pressure well. A lot of his fights, he comes back and wins with spectacular knockouts, and I give him that. But when I look at his skill set, it's hard for me to like call him elite.
Let me get this wave.
No, when you respond with first, let me say this. Let me say this. Because I'm gonna come from a little different angle in the way that I like to call it. Now, when we say elite, you know, elite is a little bit more broad when it comes to me. When I say elite fighters, I'm kind of like, you know, for me, there's pound for pound ish fighters, right? Where there's a fighter where I think is arguably in the top in a pound for pound. And to be honest, if you're not talking about maybe the first 3 or 4 guys, whoever they are, I think those top 5 guys are normally guys that I had considered. I mean, I don't even want to put in the top 5. Maybe the 5 guys I have, I'm thinking is Usyk.
You don't gotta get yourself in trouble here, Wade.
Nah,
you don't gotta get yourself in trouble here, Wade.
Nah. I have guys like Usyk, I have Bud, I have you know, I have Inoue in there. I have what's the other one that's always in there? That's been in there for a minute. Usyk, Inoue, Bud,
Ioka,
and
Ioka,
and who?
Ioka. You said Ioka?
No, I didn't say Yoka.
Okay. All
right, whatever. Listen, even when I go back to about maybe 10 years ago, maybe around the time I started this channel, I had Ward, I had Pacquiao, I had Floyd, and I had maybe Sergio Martinez before he started taking L's or something like that. Long story short, normally those top 5 are guys that I feel like can handle their own, regardless of who they're fighting, whether it's a pressure fighter or whether it's another slick boxer. They found ways to win usually. Now, I think every fighter have flaws. I think Jermell has some of those flaws that you just said. Some of those are his flaws, right? The reason why I have Jermell Charlo in my pound for pound is because he still keeps finding a way to win. I don't think it's the prettiest, just like Wilder. I definitely don't think it's the prettiest the way he does it, but he still does it. Not saying he's pound for pound. I'm just saying he finds a way to win. And it's more about the wins and the quality of wins that's there, you know, with flaws and all. Yes, he definitely has flaws for sure, but that's the way I have it. That's the way I look at it. Every fighter has flaws.
Can I speak on it, Wave?
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought what he said when it comes to the definition of an elite fighter, he said that it was a fighter that could beat any style, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't define an elite fighter that way. I don't believe that that's true. And I'm not trying to be a prick or nothing. I'm just trying to tell you my perspective. I believe an elite fighter is a fighter that has two or more dynamic skill sets, and they're excellent at those 2 or more dynamic skill sets. They're playing at the highest level with those 2 or more dynamic skill sets. That's what I think you find consistent within all elite fighters. They have these 2 or more dynamic skill sets. It doesn't mean that they can't be beat. So, because you said that they beat all styles, an elite fighter can still be beat, but because we've seen it happen, elite fighters do get beat. But if you have 2 or more dynamic skill sets, I believe you are an elite fighter. Now, at a level. Now, that's how I define an elite fighter. As far as beating every boxing style, I don't think that that's possible. I don't think no fighter has ever beat every boxing style. I don't care about what they say, Floyd Mayweather bullshit. That's bullshit. No fighter I could ever name has beat every single boxing style. So I don't think
fighters.
We'll get to that. I'll let you name them right after this. Let me just finish with this. I will say I don't think that there's no fighter that could fight that could beat in every single style, and I believe that even elite fighters can be beat. I think the most elite fighter today, right now, I would say is a tie between two. It has to be Usyk and Crawford. Those are elite. Elite is above world champion level. Elite is something different. Elite is special. Elite is phenom. When you're a phenom, when you got power in both hands, that can fight out of both stances and are well coordinated, and that can hit, got balance, slip out of the pocket, and you can fight inside the pocket, outside the pocket. That's elite. That's elite. Nobody's like that. World champions aren't like that. That's something special. It don't matter of what fighting style you can beat. What it matters is what you can bring to the fight. What you bring to the fight. What Terence Crawford brings to the fight is ridiculous. What Usyk brings to the fight is ridiculous. You can't prepare for it. That is elite. Maybe Canelo.
I think that was good. That was a good response, and I think everybody can lose to somebody, depending on who they fight.
Yes.
When it comes to Floyd Mayweather,
so deep. Oh, come on.
There's videos that I did, old videos.
He can lose.
Where I can talk. I just talked about who I wish he had fought, who I thought would have been the most troublesome for him, even if he won fights that, he had his couple fights that he almost lost, or, for fights that was close. But there were fighters that he didn't fight that I felt stylistically
would have gave him problems.
Harder for Floyd. First, when he's dipping his toes into 154, I thought Lara would have been a nightmare for Floyd Mayweather. I believe that. That's just me. I thought Lara.
There was a moment where I thought Keith Thurman would have been a problem for him. There was a moment. I ain't gonna front. The don't duck me, son moment. I thought maybe this motherfucker might give him some problems.
Yeah, but see, that was Floyd Mayweather, like past his mid-30s.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm reaching.
I mean, at any point. I'm talking about any point, because we can I did another video just talking about which Floyd you like better, Money May or Pretty Boy. Like we could talk all day with that. The only reason why I'm bringing him up because
he's the gold standard. He's the gold standard.
He was great. He was undefeated. But I do feel that there were certain specific fighters. I thought Paul Williams would have been a hard fight for Floyd too, stylistically.
Yes.
I'm not saying he would have lost these fights. I just think and this one, a lot
Antonio
of
Margarito would have been a problem for him.
Y'all might not agree with me today, but I felt like Amir Khan was a bad fight for Floyd Mayweather.
I thought he's a bad fight for both of them. I thought, thank God you said that, Boxingwave. You saved my soul. I thought Amir Khan was the only fighter I'm sorry to say this. I might sound like a fool, but I honestly believe it. I thought Amir Khan was the only fighter that could beat Manny and Floyd. I thought he was the only fighter in the world that actually had a chance of I don't know if he could beat them, but he had a chance. I honestly believe that, Amir Khan was really good and fast and sharp and long. He could keep his distance, and he was good when his feet was fast. I'm telling you, inside out, if Amir Khan played with you all day, is a problem, man. Paulie Malignaggi, watch Paulie Malignaggi interview. Watch Paulie Malignaggi interview. He tell you about his fight with Amir Khan. It make perfect sense. But I know I sound like an idiot now, but at that time I thought it.
So I wanted to say something real quick. So I'm not saying that because a fighter has flaws that I'm gonna say this real quickly. I'm not saying that because a fighter has flaws that doesn't make them elite. There's no perfect fighter, period. But I struggle to call a fighter. First of all, I think there's prerequisites to be an elite. I'm not gonna go into all of them for the sake of time. But one of the prerequisites of being elite is that you have to master the basics. And fighters like Spence and Charlo struggle horribly with the basics. They don't have the basics down pat.
You really think that? You really think that Errol Spence don't have the basics down pat?
I can tell you why. I can tell you why he doesn't have the basics.
I actually think that's what he has. Is the
like Errol Spence Jr. has he shows no athleticism whatsoever in the ring. He shows you straight basics.
Yeah,
Like
I can
I
tell
think
you
the
why I say
argument that
that
I've heard
though.
about Spence is not that he didn't have the basics, it's just that he was kind of robotic. Like, you know what
yeah, that's
jab,
how
But
jab,
see,
jab.
basic he is.
the,
He's
let me
Anthony
tell you why I say
Joshua.
that. Let me tell you why I say that. The reason why I say that, right? Because I like to bring points to substantiate what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
Okay, the reason why I said like Spence has basic outside of Sean Porter, Spence have basically faced the same base style. Flat-footed fighters that don't throw that much punches, like Danny Garcia, very economical with his punches. Ugas, very economical with his punches. Like Lamont Peterson, literally sitting in a pocket with him. He hasn't fought a lot of guys that gave him movement. When he fought a Sean Porter, he could not. He couldn't gauge the distance really that well. He didn't use his height. He fell for the same tricks over and over again. What I'm saying is a person that's just a basic fighter, they can gauge the distance. If you look at when Errol Spence fights, a lot of the times when he comes in with his left, he always overcommits himself to the point where he's literally falling off balance or his head is on the line and he's able to get caught. That's how Ugas was able to hurt him. So but I'm same thing with Jermell Charlo. He's punching from super far out when he's not close to you and he's falling over himself. So if you're not a good gauger of like distance and precision on your punches and you haven't faced all styles, you struggle with the basics. And like they just like what Tony Harrison did to Charlo, or with what's the other guy named Julian Jackson Jr. did to Charlo with movement. They struggle with movement. I'm not knocking a person for struggling with movement, but they don't have like their balance is bad and they struggle with distance. And that's why I say they struggle with the basics.
Kel Brook
I agree with what you're saying.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I disagree.
I agree with what you're saying.
Kel Brook
Exactly.
was supposed to be that. I mean, he we know about his eye, so that's different. But I'm talking about as far as boxing ability. Kel Brook was that, and you've seen it against Sean Porter when Kel Brook was, still undefeated, fresh. You saw that in the Sean Porter fight. Porter, he made it look very, very easy.
Yo, but
he grabbed Sean Porter
funny?
a lot too, though. He never fought him in the inside.
You didn't see no whole bunch of movement from Kel Brook when he fought Errol Spence. You saw him standing right in front of Errol Spence and really hurting Errol Spence over and over again. That's what that fight looked like. It looked like he wasn't moving around and jumping around and playing Ali. He was standing right in the pocket.
But I
don't think he was hurting him though.
He was catching him clean.
He was catching him clean.
Man.
He was. If we're just counting the first 5 rounds, I think Kel Brook.
Yeah, Kel Brook was devastating.
He was definitely up.
You know the problem with Kel Brook though, and that's what I mean by Spence face basically like flat-footed fighters. I wouldn't say Kel Brook necessarily flat-footed, but he has no inside game. He doesn't you can outwork him in the mid rounds, and he doesn't box off the back foot that well. And like you said, he was pretty much standing right in front of Spence. So that still wouldn't be a good example of.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you could stand in front of Spence, to your point about the movement, if you could stand in front of Spence and catch him clean, what can you actually do with movement?
Well, I think
you know what I'm saying. Like,
let me say this. I don't want to judge Kel Brook strictly on that fight because Kel Brook had a different strategy.
Yeah, we know he was.
Not only that, but Kel Brook was trying to work off the counter and take away Spence's jab, and that's what he was doing. He was countering Spence's jab. From what I remember him countering Spence's jab a lot in that fight.
Yeah,
even with his own
pull
jab.
counters. He was doing pull counters.
He was kind of doing the same. He tried to do the same thing with Bud. The difference is with Bud is whatever's working, like those first 2 or 3 rounds, whatever was working for Kel Brook in that fight, it didn't work. Once we got into the 3rd round, that's when Bud started to switch things up a little bit, catch up,
make the adjustment.
And we saw what he did in the 4th. But
it was that.
Yeah, and when you guys talk about who's elite too, you can only fight who's in front of you, man. So
I'll tell you another thing.
Who at 154 that you can say can beat Jermell?
Tony Harrison, he actually beat him. And Castaño was a draw, but when they did the poll on Showtime after that fight, what was like 80% of people thought that Castaño won. Castaño really beat Jermell that first fight, but he hasn't beat.
A lot of those polls.
Let me say something real quick.
But let me say this, man. A lot of those polls are based on popularity. It's who you like when the fight started. If Charlo get a little bit of a tougher fight than you expected, okay, you're gonna say that. I thought Charlo won the first fight. That's just me. And as far as Tony Harrison, I thought he won that one, but he lost. But he came back and knocked the guy out. So what are you saying?
Yeah, but
He
he's
came
been
back
knocked
and
out.
knocked them both out. So I think that's like,
Yeah,
I
because
wouldn't even-
Castano was a good win to knock him out because he's never been stopped. So I give him credit for that. I mean, I give him credit for all wins. Getting in that ring is an easy period. But what I'm saying, I don't know.
Say
Harrison's
something real
was
quick. I was trying to say something real quick. I wanted to say something to y'all real quick.
go ahead.
We just basically defined what we consider an elite fighter to be, right? We said that you got to have this, you got to have that, you got to be like this, you got to be like that. But that's all wrong. Hold on. That's all wrong, right? Now, I'm going to tell you why it's all wrong. Because in boxing, you got fighters that are elite level, that are amazing and really do the damn thing. But then you got fighters that may be a level below them, but they have an elite quality to them. And they could knock out the elite guy that's a complete elite fighter. They could destroy him because they have one elite quality. I'll give you an example. Ernie Shavers versus Ken Norton. I'll give you an example. Deontay Wilder versus fucking anybody, right? Like, that's the bad thing about boxing. You can't say that a person is elite and put a stamp on them, because there's another motherfucker, Opataya. He's not supposed to beat the elite Bradis, but he broke Bradis' eye socket. Bradis broke his jaw, whatever the fuck. But he has something elite about him. If you get hit by a Deontay Wilder elite right hand, it don't matter how elite you are as Hergovic. You feel me? It don't matter about your awards or Yoka or whatever the fuck. There's other fighters out here that they have elite components. They may not have the delivery system together, but they have elite components. Like, take a look at the landscape in that way. Like Amir Khan, he's elite. Amir Khan is an elite fighter. Don't get it twisted, but he ain't all together, right? Once you get to him, you could break his jaw or something, but look at what he could dish out to you. He got little bricks in both hands. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you got to catch it.
Jermell Charlo, in my eyes, is definitely an elite fighter, and I think his resume speaks for it. And even though those losses, and I broke it down, his resume down earlier. I think he's had other fights too where he was losing rounds. I think that's one thing about Jermell Charlo. It might not be the prettiest. It definitely wasn't pretty in both Tony Harrison fights. I mean, he just didn't look good, but he came back and won, and especially with the way Tony was super confident going into that rematch. I mean, do you guys remember that press conference? Shit was a classic. You know what I'm saying? I had a great time watching that. He came back and won the fight and stopped him. And he did the same with Brian Castano, who's never lost and he's never been stopped. All right. And even the two draws, which I actually think Castano won the Lara fight and the first Jermell Charlo fight. He came back and knocked them out, and that's elite to me. I mean,
I think Jermell is a. I want to say he is elite. I want to say Jermell is elite. I like everything, but what if you see him get completely dismantled? If you would have went 6 months ago, if I would have asked you 6 months ago, is Josh Taylor elite? You would have said, yeah, whatever it was, 6 months or 8 months, whatever the fuck it was. But you would have said, yeah, Josh Taylor is an elite fighter. But you and I both know he's not today.
Josh Taylor.
You see what I'm saying?
Josh Taylor.
Quick.
Taylor. Let me hold on. Calm down. Josh Taylor at 140. It's a little different than Jermell Charlo's resume, because Josh has, at least for me, Josh has the pro grade fight where I'm a little in between about who really won that fight, depending on when I'm watching it.
So was I. I thought it was.
I'm a little bit in between of that.
I thought that.
I honestly never rated Jose Ramirez that high. I don't even think he beat Victor Postol. I don't think he won that shit.
I don't even.
Real. And you know what, Josh, I give him respect for the Victor Postol win, because he was losing that shit, but he came back and won. But Josh, that Catterall fight, he lost in my opinion. He did, and I think he kind of got exposed because it's the way he handled the loss too that kind of made me feel like he was delusional. If he can go into this and do what Charlo did, and this is why I say I can't put him. Yeah, I can't put him in there with Charlo because I seen when Charlo was down heavy and was able to come back and do. I don't know what Taylor is going to do in this rematch. I don't know. And you know what? Even if he were to lose to Catterall again and do great things after, then we can have that discussion. We can revisit that. But I got to see how he does. And that's part of being elite. And that's what I meant to say when you guys were talking. Part of being elite is bouncing back off of a loss.
Yes. And then the Holyfield. 100%. You know, I want to know part of being elite. What happens.
I think Jermell Charlo is very good, but I don't think he's elite.
I don't think he's listen, that's what I was about to ask Wave. I was about to ask Wave. Where do you draw the line between a very good fighter, world champion level, solid guy? Because I don't think Jermell Charlo is elite. I don't. I think he is just very, very good. Where do you draw the line between an elite fighter and very, very good? What tells you that the difference between the two? I believe what tells you that is an awesome rival, a real monster, a real 50-50, a real problem in your face, and you overcome it, and then give me another one, the same level, give me another one just like that, and then I'll start to class you as elite. And that level, when you fighting the what we would think is elite and beating them, when you could do something like that, like Clarissa Shields just did, that starts to make you elite. That, like, what does Jermell really have?
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? Jermell,
you got to be careful there, because what you're saying, you're saying right now is basically what people say about Terrence Crawford.
I know, that's exactly but the problem, you're right.
Can I tell y'all why it's not? Can I tell y'all why it's not though?
Elite. Terrence Crawford has fought real monsters and put everybody down. Let me tell you something about Terrence Crawford. This is what makes Terrence Crawford elite. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm getting excited now. I know I done had a few drinks. Give me a second. This is why Terrence Crawford is elite. And this is, come on. I'm not even talk about his accolades. Fuck his accolades. Fuck everything he did. This is what makes Terrence Crawford elite. We got a panel full of people. You cannot tell me one person in the history of the sport that campaigned at one division, moved up to a higher division, and knocked out everybody they fought at the higher division. You can't name one person in the history of the sport.
No, but what I'm saying that we know that.
That's what
that's why I have him up there. What I'm trying to tell you is your argument is based on
what?
One monster that Jermell fought. People say that about Bud now, today. Right now,
people wait a minute, roll that back. I didn't
online
catch that
and saying that about Bud. He's never fought someone that was at his level. That's what they say about him.
Yeah, but you have certain fighters like for instance, who just when they get in the ring, they just blast everybody out. Like Sam Langford was like that.
Sam Langford got the best resume in boxing history, though.
Yeah, he was 5'7".
I agree with you. I'm playing devil's advocate right now.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand
when you ask me what's elite, I'm looking at what they're doing, how they're doing it.
So I think
I get you.
See, I think those guys like, all right, for example, like I hate because it makes me sound like I'm a Danny Garcia hater. But I'll be like trying to figure out like
why they give so much credit to Danny Garcia as a win for Spence.
At what point did we just put Danny up to this place? Like, when did that happen? Because I remember at 140, he clearly lost to Mauricio Herrera. I mean,
everybody remember that fight.
And Lamont Peterson.
Split open, when his nose split open and blood dripping down the side, the middle of his nose. I remember that.
The Lamont Peterson one is debatable because Lamont gave mad rounds away. That's the problem with Lamont. Lamont gave too many.
Lamont was. I can tell you, Zab Judah was getting at him at the end of the fight.
He was, but he gave a lot of rounds away too.
Yeah, he did. He gave Jab
I'm
gave
trying to
early
say
rounds
about
away, but
Danny.
he was whooping him in the
Danny
end.
ducked Victor Postal 3 times.
Oh, he ducked Crawford, really, to be honest.
Danny Garcia, Victor Postal. I know he became nothing after Bud beat him, but there was a guy that nobody wanted to fight at 140. Josh Taylor struggled against him. What's this guy named? Jose Ramirez struggled against him. It took a Russell who got a Fugazi stoppage at the end, but he clearly won the fight. But Victor Postal is super old at this point. You know, no one looked good against Postal. I think that win that Bud has against Postal is so underrated. You know, because Postal was legit.
Was Postal a gold medalist?
I
think he was. Yo.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but
I don't know. Regardless,
how many? It was like Felix Diaz. It was somebody else he fought that was a gold medalist, Gamboa, and then I think it was Victor Postal, wasn't it?
I mean, when it's so subjective.
I'm not sure if it was Victor
talking
Postal.
about how
I'm just not sure off the top of my head.
How do we make guys elite?
I don't have
determine whether they're elite or not. It's really depends on how they win and how they're doing when they're winning. Like it's just. It's totally subjective, man.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
It is.
No. Let me argue with you. I would say that elite shows up. It might not show up while the fighter is fighting, but elite does show up when you. That's why I said two or more skill sets. Remember I said that when you got 2 or more skill sets at a level, I think elite does show up. I think there is a separation between you and everybody else. I think you can do things that nobody else can do, and you are special. I believe elite does show up. How can you explain Floyd Mayweather versus Arturo Gatti? How can you explain that? That's elite showing up. I believe it does. Trevor Berbick versus Mike Tyson. I believe elite does show up, and you can see it and you can measure it, but you got to really be looking. I believe elite does show up.
What you was about to say? My bad.
Go ahead.
South Philly.
I'm trying to think of another.
I was going to say, to think about it, I'm gonna say Jermell was elite. I'm gonna say he's not elite with his skill set because he's not. But I will say
his status.
No, not even that. Not even that. He's elite with his conditioning. He's elite with his will, and he's elite with his durability. Because everybody don't possess those 3 qualities he has, and it's not a time 100%. In the fight where he can't win it, and how he always comes in shape as well, and he has strong ass will. So yeah, I will consider him elite because of those qualities. But when it comes to skill set, I won't consider him elite. But all together, he is elite.
Are you doubting his skill set? Because I'm agreeing with you. So are me and you doubting his skill set? Are we not looking at his small intricacies and the things that he's doing in the ring that's creating these victories and creating these knockouts? Are we fucking him over? Are we shortchanging him?
Yeah, you
are because
I gotta ask that question because I gotta be honest.
Listen to me. We can't just remove like the power. Like it's like what Fulton said.
I'm talking about the skills that deliver the power. Forget about the power. I'm talking about the skills that deliver the power. This guy has been consistent. Listen, hold on. We talk shit about Wilder. You got no boxing skills, but he delivers that right hand every time. So he got some skill set to deliver it. So now,
but who is he delivering that right hand against though? He only beat one champion.
He delivers it.
Wait.
So if
Wilder
Charlo
is
delivering, how can we criticize Jermell Charlo if he's delivering?
Hold on. Wilder wasn't supposed to beat Luis Ortiz. And what I mean by that is, and I'm talking about the first fight. I'm not talking about the second fight. Wilder was not supposed to beat Luis Ortiz. This guy was a Cuban southpaw fighter with power, okay? A great counterpuncher. He was not supposed to beat that guy. All right? The way I like to go back to that fight specifically because I never saw Wilder fight so cautiously until he fought that guy. And it made me realize that moment that Wilder can take it to a different level if he needs to. Now, if you look at that fight and then you look how reckless he fought in the what's the Polish guy's name with the bald head that he knocked out, like almost killed damn near.
Who?
Hellenius?
Spilka.
Oh.
Spilka.
Yeah, Spilka.
Yeah.
When you look at Spilka fight and just look how just sloppy he looked in that fight.
Yeah, a mess.
Right? He's
Tripping over his
he's
own
just
feet.
swinging
Yeah.
and just looking. He's
Terrible.
actually, the fight is like damn near even by the time he got the knockout in my opinion on my scorecard.
I think Spilka was winning,
Yo, I think I had
I think
up like
Spilka was
5
actually
rounds to
winning.
4 or something
I'm
like that.
telling you.
Bro, the thing is with Charlo, I feel you. If you look at his older fights and you just based on the fact that he didn't have knockout power at one point, or he had it, he just didn't know how to use it yet.
Yes, correct.
Barry James taught him how to use it.
Yes, correct.
And then when he started to transition, when he had that first fight with John Jackson, where he was getting outboxed, but he scored a knockout. You got to factor in, yes, I know when it comes to technique, when it comes to just IQ, I don't think he has elite level that. But you have to put everything together. It's like Fulton saying to Inoue in the article, yo, if you take all that power, he's all that. Well, you can't take it away because that's part of who he is. The same thing with Arthur Beterbiev. If you can't say hypothetically, well, if you put Bivol against Beterbiev, but you put Beterbiev and you took away his power and it's just a boxing match, how would it go? You can't do that because the power is part of the reason why he's there. Now you can take it away by not getting hit clean by it, or or try to neutralize him some way. But at the end of the day, Jermell Charlo and his power and his durability and his conditioning, because that's another thing. One of y'all said it's overlooked. That's part of the reason on why he's at where he's at. Same thing with Sean Porter. Everybody says, oh, he's a wrestler, he's this and that. Part of the reason why Sean Porter had so much success and had a great fight against Spence is because he knows how to use his style. It's wild. I get it. But he trains, he stays fit all year round. He has great conditioning, and he's going to come at you all 12 rounds at the same pace. That's why he's at where he's at. So when I say elite, I'm talking about the whole, everything that's involved with the fighter and what they're doing and how they're winning.
Yeah, but you can't forget the jab too. What about Charlo's jab? Charlo has an elite jab.
Yeah, he has a good jab. He does.
No, he doesn't. No, he does not.
What? But you see what I'm saying about what Wave just said about Sean Porter and how he knows how to use his style. This is what I like about boxing and breaking it down. Sean Porter has a certain style that, like he said, he keeps coming. He always on point. That's an elite pressure fighter. See this? See how we change it? Is an elite. He might not be elite when everything else, but he's an elite pressure fighter. Manny Pacquiao stands up in front of you and starts moving around and starts throwing bricks at your face. That's what Manny Pacquiao likes to do. He likes to throw bricks at your face. He's an elite assault fighter. If you really want to, this people got different components that make them elite, but they're not maybe not elite overall. Manny Pacquiao's defense is not elite.
Yeah, it's a matter of taste, man. That's what y'all talking about.
Attributes. It's a matter of attributes.
Yeah, it's attributes, but it's preference because you don't respect, like Wade was saying. Some people don't respect the conditioning portion or the will portion, like my man SWP was saying. So if you respect those different things, then that's elite to you, and that's why. So who is elite? So if Charlo is not elite, I'm talking to my man SWP. Tell me who is elite. Just name your top 3 elite fighters.
Yeah, I like to hear that.
I recanted my statement. I said, I said if you look at Charlo's body of work in terms of the attributes he possesses outside of his skill set, yeah, he is an elite fighter. I mean, he doesn't have elite skill set,
but he's not an elite fighter though. He's not an elite fighter.
Well, who's elite?
I'll tell you who's elite. I'll tell you who's elite.
Other elite fighters. An elite fighter is Lomachenko that you walked in there and took Gary Russell's own.
I'll tell you who's elite. Terrence Crawford's elite, of course, yes. Yeah.
Why, okay, no, you said of course. Why is Terrence Crawford elite? Let
me answer this question. Let me get this one, bro. Before I answer your question, and I'm not trying to be like a smart ass here when I say this, but when I'm going to answer your question, but before I answer it, I want to say, are you like really serious when you ask me this, or are you just joking?
No, I'm being dead serious because I want to know what you're calling elite. So tell me
Okay.
why.
Oh
We
man.
know
Well,
what
Crawford.
elite really means, dog.
The reason
We
why
know
Terrence
what elite
Crawford is
means.
elite is because Terrence Crawford can literally do it all. Not only can he do it all from the orthodox position, but if the orthodox position isn't working, he can abandon it and literally do it from the southpaw position. I mean, he has elite countering, he has elite timing,
Is he
he
an
has
elite
elite.
defender? Is he an
Yes,
elite
I mean,
defender?
all right, let's talk about defense real quick. When you
Okay.
look at Errol Spence, who's considered elite at the weight, right? And you look at Terrence Crawford, they're considered the two top upper echelon guys. You look at
Yeah.
Sean Porter. Let's use Sean Porter as a barometer. When
Yeah.
Sean Porter fought Spence, he was basically hitting him at will. You look at when he fought the same Terrence Crawford.
He was hitting him at will.
According to Combi Box, Sean Porter land half the shots on Terrence Crawford that he land on Spence. So
Sean
he
Porter
has to
was
be
winning that fight according to CompuBox and most people that was watching before he got knocked down. He was winning that fight.
not on the not on the judges' scorecard. According to who? Not on the judges' scorecards. He wasn't.
On the unofficial card, and the people that was watching
the Crawford fight before he got knocked down.
before the knockdowns, before the first knockdown.
Not on the judges' scorecards. But hold on 1 second. 1 second though. 1 second. We get
wait. One at a time. What? Yo,
I just don't understand what he said.
Yeah, let me finish though, because he asked me the question real quick, brother.
No.
But my point is with Crawford is before we go into all that, the thing that makes Crawford elite is there's not one boxer you can name in boxing right now. Not one. I don't care if it's Boots. I don't care if it's Usyk, Ferry, Progress, whoever. It's not one boxer that can do what Crawford does. But Crawford can do everything that everyone else does. That in itself makes him elite. He can literally do it all. Literally.
Okay, who else? Okay, so Crawford is elite. Who else?
Chocolatito.
100%.
Chocolatito. Oh my God.
You know, are you aware of Chocolatito's resume, sir?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Chocolatito can't do what fucking Terrence Crawford could do.
No. I didn't say he could. I said he's elite. He is elite, though.
Yes, he is elite.
Wow.
But
wow.
Well,
wait, hold on. Time out. Let me jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why not?
Say one more time. I'm sorry.
EB, why not?
Okay, so I'll be 100% honest with you guys. And like I told you when we first started, I like a certain group of fighters and American fighters. I've seen Chocolatito fight one time. And the one time I saw Chocolatito fight, he got knocked out by the brother with the big calves. Who's the other little Spanish dude that he fought?
Sarungvasai.
Okay. I don't really know those little guys like that. I ain't gonna lie. But I'm saying when I saw that dude fight, he was not elite. He got knocked out.
You bugging, fam.
Hold on. Wait.
Nah, you
hold up.
set yourself.
Wait, let me hit from Wave real quick.
Fam, you set yourself up.
Hold on, let me hit from Wave real quick. Wave, you are boxing.
All due respect.
Channel.
You said that you watched Chocolatito fight one time, and you don't. And the fight that you watched, he lost, and you don't respect.
They say he lost because he got knocked out.
Fam, that's what you said.
Yeah, he got dominated.
Yo, come on, fam. That's what you said. You said you watched Chocolatito
one
time.
Yes.
And he lost that fight, and because of that one viewing, you do not view him to be an elite fighter. You
I can only judge for what I'm seeing. I'm not lying to you.
I've watched that elite fight many a times, but if he lost the fight, you telling me if that's the only fight I watched of him, he's not a real fighter? What are you talking about?
Wait, can I answer you though, brother? Can I answer you?
Fam, that sounds real bad.
Can I answer you?
Your testimony.
All right, just go. Wait.
Hey, so real quick.
I want EP to talk.
Yeah, thank you. So I said that I asked him why Chocolatito wasn't elite. He said, why wasn't he? I'm telling you, I seen the brother fight one time and he got knocked out. Now, Wave, you're a boxing channel, you see all the fights. The brother that knocked him out, that night he got dominated. That fight that I saw. I think it was on ESPN. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong to not think he's elite based off that fight?
It was on HBO. I remember.
Okay, HBO. Okay. Well, am I wrong to think he's not elite based off that fight?
Yeah, you're wrong because you're basically saying Manny Pacquiao is not elite if you had saw him the first time fighting Marquez in a 4th fight.
Yeah, exactly. You're giving a person's whole career. You're giving a person's whole
listen. Let me just continue.
Come on, man.
What I will say is this. If you don't think he's elite, that's fine. That's on you. But my problem is I can't. You're judging off one fight you've seen of him. You know, Floyd Mayweather is not going to look elite in the Castillo fight in the first one.
Yeah, but I was asking him, why is he elite? And then he asked me, why wasn't he? I can only tell him why. So I
Floyd
asked him, why is
Mayweather's
he
not going
elite?
to
Why
look
is
elite in
Tito
the
elite?
Augustus fight. Floyd Mayweather's not going to look elite in the Augustus fight, Sam.
Yeah, but
I
why
think
is
Go look it up.
Tito
Go look it
elite?
up and go watch the fight.
me personally, his name was thrown up.
Yeah.
And who brought him up?
That's what SWP said. I said, who's elite?
No, I
He
said
said
Chocolatito
Crawford,
was elite
and then you said Chocolatito. Yeah, why is he elite?
because he beat other elite fighters. That's why. I mean,
Yeah,
So his
beating other
he's a
because
fucking
he's-
top of the line guy, dog.
Yeah,
So,
he's
so, okay,
and,
so
and then wait. When he was knocked out by Kyle Ufai, look how he bounced back. He went back to the zone and beat Kyle Ufai, who was an undefeated champion, stopped him in like the 8th round.
Yes.
He
Elite
revitalized
fighters
his
can get
career.
knocked out. Manny
So-
Pacquiao got knocked out. No,
But y'all missing my point.
Donaire got knocked out.
Yes.
You tell me
But
Donaire not elite?
No,
Tell me
my
Donaire
point.
not elite?
My point is, you can use different things to say. You said Crawford was elite because all the things he could do and nobody else could do. Then I said, why is Chocolatito elite? You said because of his resume. So my point is, Jermell Charlo is elite because of his resume. That's the point I was trying to make.
Agree with you.
That's hard to say because
But you got a good point. But
Yeah.
I'm supporting your point, and I don't even agree with you. But that's how real it is. I'm supporting your point. I don't think Jermell Charlo is elite, only because I think elite is a little bit different than what we're defining it as.
Well, the thing is, I don't think Chocolatito is in his prime right now. I don't even think Estrada is either elite at this point. I don't think they're in the chart, but I think when Chocolatito was in his prime, yes, he absolutely was elite. I don't think he's in his prime. I think he's still very good. And he's probably, I mean, he lost to Estrada. I mean, I don't think he, I don't think he lost the second match.
or the first one.
I mean, he didn't, he won officially on the cards, the first one.
Right.
The second one, he definitely didn't lose, in my opinion. I think
Right.
the third one was the most disputable fight out of the three. I think the third one was close either side. And that's the way I look at it. But at his prime, I do think he was elite. I think when he lost to Rungvisai, I think at that point, he came back and won a title again, which was great. But at that point, when he got knocked out, right? Of course, he lost some stock because you lost the fight to a decision, a points decision, and then he went and got knocked out. Yes, he lost some stock. But when they were making him out to be a top 5 pound for pound fighter, I know HBO was.
Yeah, I remember.
They were no. They were promoting as number 1.
Yeah, number 1 pound for pound.
They were promoting him over Loma, Bud, Triple G, Kovalev, or whoever else was popping at that time. I thought that was a big too much, but I do believe that he might have been a top 5, probably number 5, number 4 pound for pound guy in the world at that time. Yes, I did. And that makes him elite for me. Not now, because I think he's slowing down a little bit,
Wave, what's your definition of an elite fighter?
My definition is, I think I like using. I think Bud is a good example because I like that he really can see.
If you could, I'm sorry, Wave. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off because we all know that the Bud show is kind of an easy pick. If you could show
let me finish, bro. Calm down, chill. Let me finish.
I want to see your ingredients. That's why I'm asking. Ingredients.
What I think of a fighter is elite is not just based on. I think the problem with a lot of people calling people elite is based on preference of what they see in a fighter, right? I don't really go by that. I base it on their style and how good at that specific style that they are. Like whatever they're losing at, whatever flaws they have, I think that they're all going to have flaws and they're all going to have different styles. Offensively, what I'm looking for a fighter that knows how to attack, but be smart with it. Now, if you're not so good at defense, right? If you're a full-blown just wrecking machine like what's his name? Emmanuel Navarrete. You got a guy like him. He's a full-blown wrecking machine, right? He's all offense. The problem is, the reason, I'm not saying he's elite, but he could be at some point because he just comes forward. He doesn't care about getting hit as much because he has a chin. So he can make up that with the lack of defense, with the fact that he's a pretty durable fighter. So with that being said, I look for whatever style you're at, is it producing the results in general, not just the ingredients. The ingredients is good, but you got to have it's the ingredients that you have. Is it working for you time and time again? And if you are in a fight where someone is besting you, someone is beating you, right? Are you going to make the adjustments in order to overcome whatever struggle you're dealing with? Maybe not in that specific fight, but maybe if it's a draw or you run it back, what changes can you make in that fight? You know, so yes, conditioning is a big thing. Not everybody has the conditioning. So if you don't have great conditioning, like Canelo never had the best conditioning, what are you going to do to make up for the fact that you can't go every round? You can't fight a full 12 rounds at the same pace. What are you going to do? You're going to fight in spurts, right? You're going to make every round. If you got to fight half a round, you got to be extremely effective every round. I felt that way, even though he lost the Triple G first fight. In my opinion, I think he clearly lost. I can see what he was doing when he was winning because he was being effective for half of a round. Maybe
so you're saying adjustability. You're saying adjustability, adaptability. Adaptability is key to being a from what you're saying, from what I'm understanding. You're saying adaptability is key.
Well, yeah, you have to adapt. But my main thing is, everybody, when we're talking about elite, we're talking about preferences and what we like.
I don't think we are. That's where I don't think
every fighter has a different style.
Let me argue with you. Let me fight with you.
Okay.
You said that when we're talking about elite, we're talking about preferences. Absolutely not. I do not believe in that at all. At all. I think that's completely wrong.
No, you don't believe in it.
No, that's what I said. I said I don't believe in that. I'm being honest with you. I'm disagreeing with you. This is an argument.
When people say elite, they looking for slickness. A lot of the time,
no.
They're looking for slickness. They looking to see how much you can move. They want you to fight like Floyd.
No, Wave. I don't believe none of that shit. That's all garbage to me. I don't believe that. What I believe an elite fighter is, going back to the young man that spoke earlier, as far as adjusting to everybody's style and everything, and just to your point that you just made, adjusting to everybody's style. The young man spoke earlier, said he could beat everybody's style. I don't think that an elite fighter can beat everyone's style. I don't believe that, but you can adjust to it, or you can attempt to. I believe an elite fighter is someone that has an answer for every question, but once again, I believe they have two items that are extremely special that nobody else really has at that level. That's what I define an elite fighter as. Because that's what I see. Call of Floyd Mayweather. Look at the two things he has. He has the defense, and he has basically the boxing IQ. Those are his two special things that make him special from everybody else. That's what I find an elite fighter as. A lot of these fighters, Jermell Charlo, we know that they are accomplished. Yes, but you have to put their accomplishments within context. And I'm not talking about opposition. I'm talking about era. How amazing are you in this era, and how amazing is your era? Jermell Charlo, I think he gets beat by a lot of 154-pounders historically. I don't think he's elite. Elite means that, like Terrence Crawford, I think I could take him into the welterweight division in the 1980s and he'll survive, and he'll probably become a champion. That's elite. The elite is not world champions and just regular motherfuckers as somebody that walked in and knocked Buster Douglas. Oh, I'm a world champion. I'm elite. No, motherfucker. You're a regular overnight guy. I'm talking about people that could really survive, do it. Hagler, to me, is one of the best fighters to ever live. That you can't duplicate. That's different.
Yeah,
and
but
Terrence Crawford is the
you dipping into the all-time greats. I'm talking about
I'm talking about boxing.
I'm talking about guys that are actually.
I'm talking about if you've seen an elite fighter, what made him elite? What made him different from everybody else? If you saw an elite fighter, what made him
So
different
are
from
there pound for
everybody else?
pound fighters, do you guys, that think that are not elite?
Are not
But they
elite?
should belong in a pound for pound.
Okay.
Yep, I agree
You
with
said
you
that's
100%,
not elite,
Wade.
right?
Yep, there's some guys that's pound for pound that's maybe on their way to be elite. Well, nah, I would say
Devin
they're
Sean
Haney.
pound
Porter.
for
I
pound.
would say
Devin
Sean
Haney.
Porter. He's elite without being in the pound for pound. Sean Porter's definitely elite without being in the pound for pound.
I was
Definitely.
Sean
Oh, you
Porter
said
elite,
that's
but
not
Jermell
When we
Charlo
say
is
elite,
not.
because this is what I'm trying to get, and I still don't know how we got here, but when we say elite,
Yeah, we just popping shit.
what's greater than? Because I'm confused now. What's greater?
Elite
or
is
pound for
greater
pound?
than pound for pound. Elite is greater than pound for pound. Elite is the top of the line. The very best people in the sport. Usyk, Crawford, Canelo. We don't give a fuck about your pound for pound list. We're better than everybody else
Nah,
below us.
hey, elite is somebody that's at the top of their era in their division. Right now,
Yes.
Jermell Charlo is elite. There's no way
Yeah,
around it.
yeah.
No,
I would say
Jermell
that.
Charlo
I
is
would agree.
No,
I would agree.
hold on. You jumped right there. Jermell Charlo is not elite because his era, his whole division is weak.
Nah,
But that's not
true.
his fault, though. That's not
December
his fault.
It's not his
2022,
fault.
Jermell
I'm a
Charlo
Mike
was elite.
Tyson fan. It's not his fault. It's not. I'm a
Right.
Mike Tyson fan. It's not his fault. But we know Mike Tyson is elite because we can look at the skill set and we also know it. Jermell Charlo, we can't gauge his skill set against a Terrence Crawford because he never fought a Terrence Crawford.
But you
He
see,
never
you
fought,
crossing errors right now, brother.
a green machine.
Hold on. Can I give you an example? Like look at Iron Barkley, for example, right? You would never put Iron Barkley historically on a level of a Tommy Hearns, but Iron Barkley was able to
Beat
stop Tommy Hearns twice.
Yeah.
He was able to do it twice.
So Iran
Historically,
Barkley has
that's
his
100%.
place.
That's a
Iran
good
Barkley
example.
has his place, as far as I'm
That's a good
concerned.
example.
Yeah, so
No,
you
he
have
definitely
people who
was.
so you may have fighters who may be considered like lower opposition, but at the end of the day, you never know what they can like. We never know what a Jermell Charlo could do in a 154 ever of like the 90s or whatever, because he wasn't placed. But you have had guys who are considered to be like, for instance, let's say Adrian Granados, right? Nobody had Adrian Granados to beat out Marymount. Nobody. But at the end of the day, he was able to push it, get in there, and
respect what you're
outwork him.
saying, fam.
Yo, quick question. Charles asked, was because I know this is going to bring up an argument. Was Triple G elite?
Definitely.
I want to hear for all three. This your answer. No explanation yet. Just what do y'all feel? What do you feel, EB?
He was close. He didn't fight enough for me. He didn't fight the people that I wanted to see him fight, to be honest with you.
What do you think, him?
But he was there.
I gotta agree with EB because in this division, yes, you have to call him elite. He's better than everybody else. He's the top echelon in this division at this time right now. But when you look at overall, if you will call him elite out of middleweights, no, you can't do that. Hagler is the king of middleweights. And
you got to stop correlating generations, my brother. We're talking about in this generation.
You said great. You said elite. If we talking about elite today, if you say just that elite today, yes,
right.
Yes, Triple G is elite today. Yes,
right.
No doubt. Cool. It's not even a question. He's elite today. Yes, no doubt.
No, wait. There's elite. So let me get this straight. Let me explain this for the listener. There's pound for pound.
Yes.
There's elite and there's all-time great.
Yes.
When we keep dipping into Haglers and
all right. So I'll shut the fuck up.
We go into an all-time great thing.
Right.
And that's because a lot of people that don't like Triple G and Lomachenko is because they were marketing them as all-time greats.
Exactly.
Triple G was winning regular belt title defenses, and they said that he had more title defenses than Bernard Hopkins, which wasn't true because they were regular title defenses.
That's where I'm getting upset.
Lomachenko came out, and you got guys like what's his name? Who's the podcast? Joe Rogan saying that he was the greatest he's ever seen in the history of the sport. Like it was, that's what was happening, and people started to root against them because of that. Now,
Wave, I'll take a step back and I'll correct myself. If we talking about just our era, yes,
in their generation, were they elite?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think Triple G is definitely an elite middleweight in our era, no doubt about it. I think Canelo is an elite middleweight and super middleweight. He's not an elite light heavyweight, but I believe he's an elite middleweight and super middleweight. I believe Crawford is elite in every single weight class he's been in. I believe Usyk is elite in every single weight class he's been in.
Well, to EB's question, well, not to EB's question, to what EB just asserted with Golovkin, and excuse my candor here, but the reason why Golovkin didn't fight all the fighters he wanted to see, because we have articles and interviews. It's sad, but in like the last 15, maybe 12 years, we just been living in the generation where, fighters are suckers, for lack of a better term. We had Billy Joe Sanders, when he was a champion, say that Golovkin will beat me and Canelo on the same night. We had Cotto say, well, I'm just not fighting Golovkin. Even though I'm a middleweight champion, I fought other great guys, but I don't necessarily have to fight him. We had the dude from New York, Kid Chocolate. Forgot his name, but he wanted $10 million to fight Golovkin. So the reason why we didn't see him fight a lot of the upper echelon guys there, because they blatantly ducked him. But we did see him fight the number 1 and 2 guy. We saw him fight Canelo, and in my opinion, he beat Canelo first fight and second fight, in my opinion. And we seen him fight Daniel Jacobs, and he beat Daniel Jacobs. So he still showed his mettle and showed his level of skill against top opposition, if that makes any sense.
And you got to add Sergio Martinez in that group of fighters too. It was a lot of fighters. It was a lot of fighters in the middleweight divisions that just didn't want that work. They didn't. Peter Quillen was one. Cotto was another. Chavez Jr. was one. Sergio Martinez was one.
Walker and Macklin, they didn't want to fight.
There was a lot of fighters that didn't really want the fight. All right, but with that being said, you just can't dismiss the Andre Ward scenario.
Exactly. Get it out there.
You gotta, that fight could have actually happened, and they didn't want it, and he said it. He didn't want the fight. He didn't want the Andre Ward fight, and it would have been in a catch weight that Andre Ward agreed on. And I'm surprised that Triple G didn't take that, because I thought it was crazy for Andre Ward to even say that he was going to come down to 164. That's insane.
I think it is as well. I think Andre Ward, looking back at it, it would have been a hard fight, but I think Ward would have beat him. Ward he was just too good at that particular time. And Gennadi's no joke. He's a serious.
In my opinion, by the way, he was definitely elite in his prime.
Triple G?
Triple G was elite in his prime.
Yes,
in my
he
opinion.
Was.
This fight.
Not going back to history.
I don't
bullshit. Yes, he's definitely elite.
Being ducked does help, but you still want to see the fights too, because there's fighters that
he's crushing everybody.
For example, I thought Canelo was ducking Triple G, and before I'm talking about before they actually fought. Yeah, when he started to go into 160, we wanted the fight right away. We kind of wanted, and Canelo, I don't know who he fought in order, but when Canelo, I felt like a lot of people at that time back then, when the Triple G talk started, it was while Canelo was still at 154. All right. And then when he moved up to 160, it was like, all right, if you can go and fight, that's what did it. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. When we got that fight at above 160, that's when we were like, why can't we just get the Triple G fight? But that's when we got it after that. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But I think that at 160, even though Golovkin was ducked by a lot of fighters, they still don't equate to wins. And when we look at his resume overall, you know, he did beat guys like who did he beat at? He beat Lemieux, which was cool. That was a good win. He did beat Jacobs, you know, questionable win in my opinion. Very disputable win. Murata was recently, yep. Deverenchenko was a good win.
I thought Deverenchenko beat him, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought Deverenchenko beat
him. Yeah, I did too. Disputable win as well. Both of them was. I thought the Jacobs and the Deverenchenko wins were disputed, but I do think he beat Canelo in that first fight for sure. I do think he won that fight.
See, I thought that Canelo used a different style. That's when he first started being slick or trying to be slick, so people didn't know how to judge it. I thought it was a draw, but I can see it going the other way. That's just my opinion.
I feel you. I thought he beat the second fight too. I mean, he outboxed Canelo. He was turning him. He was jabbing his head off. Canelo couldn't track him down. And I mean, if you look at press row, right? In press row, 34 people for the second fight. 34 people from the press had Golovkin winning. 16 had Canelo winning, and like 3 had it a draw. Then you got Sean Porter, who thought he won the second fight. Danny Jacobs, who thought he won the second fight. Lennox Lewis, who thought he won the second fight. Paulie Malignaggi, etc. Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? So I thought he won both fights. Third fight he lost. I didn't even watch the third fight, but Golovkin was definitely elite. Definitely.
Yo, it's that judge that messed it up. The 118, 110 was
just, that card was way out of whack.
Yeah, you can't. It's like, bro. I mean, who paid you, bro? Like 118. There's no way. Even if you thought it was a draw, even if you thought Canelo won, there's no way you can watch that fight and give Triple G 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Adelaide Bird. Yeah.
That's so I mean, I don't know. But yo, guys, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta still do some family holiday stuff. So thank you guys for joining the chat, man. I really love the panel. You guys are all welcome back. I enjoy the
respect Wave
versatility here with the panel. You know, I like that, and you guys are welcome to come back anytime. All right, we're gonna try to definitely do this more. Shout out to everyone that's in the comment section as well. Please, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, hit that, smash that like button, and happy holidays to everyone. All right, we'll be back. I got the breakdowns coming. I think I'm doing Liam Smith, and you guys think that's like a real fight or nah? Eubank and Liam Smith.
I ain't watching it, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think Eubank.
You know, not even the Euro thing. So.
Eubank is gonna win,
but whatever, you know.
I'm looking forward to talking about Yard and Better BF. I love that fight. I'm going out there for that fight. So,
respect.
That breakdown will be out soon, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, thanks, man. Take it easy, brother. Peace. Take it easy, yo.
Respect, Wave.
Later.